Fuck him, Kieran.
Alright.
I don't think this is Kieran's fault.
Alright, and we are live. So now I'll get some music.
I don't think it was Kieran's fault this time.
Okay, it's Zakrom's fault. There we go.
Why are we blaming Zekrom?
No. Zekrom.
That's racist.
There are other electric types we can blame.
Yeah, Rotom. Technically, we could blame Porygon.
We were not blaming
No, this-
Porygon. Porygon was the scapegoat.
No, Porygon caused the computer to break. Porygon did not cause it.
Yeah.
When it's a data issue, it's Porygon.
I got it. I got it. Rotom was trying to run away from Zekrom, and Zekrom is the reason why the router fried.
Man, everything was so much simpler when we just blamed everything on fucking Hoopa.
I know, right?
Life was easier back then.
Life was.
But in other news, I got a new set of dice. Yay!
Nice. Alrighty, so.
I mean, it's probably still fairly safe to blame Hoopa. Hoopa was probably involved somehow.
Alright.
Hoopa's the one that summoned Rotom and Zekrom. There we go.
Alrighty, and then also, hello Ryan! I see you in the chat.
Ryan.
He says it's all your fault.
Wait, who?
Alrighty. Okay, so I guess while we wait for some more people to come in, so, again, the original plan, we were going to do the final session of year 1 tonight, and some shit has been happening behind the scenes lately. First off, if you were not here during the Ravnica chill stream, Boone, he was having issues with his computer, and we're happy to say that, his new computer has been ordered. So anybody who donated or even just spread the word, thank you. So it was much appreciated, and yeah, he'll be getting back on track relatively soon.
Fingers crossed, it'll be Friday.
Yay. Yep.
But another issue has fucking appeared again, I guess. So, this morning, around 8 or so, my internet went out. My service provider has an app on my phone to go through troubleshooting steps, and after going through the troubleshooting steps, they said it looks like we need to replace your router. So we're going to send you a new one. And I'm like, well, shit. I am on mobile data. I have unlimited mobile data. That's not the issue here. Part of the issue is just the sheer amount of mental drain from all of this bullshit.
It is a lot of bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
It's a ton of bullshit. It's so much bullshit. And but hopefully, but based on what the tracking is saying, the new router should be here tomorrow. I don't have to pay for that, thank God. And the new computer, and like I said, I'm hoping the new computer is here on Friday. Fingers crossed. The dates that they have for me for the computer are the 7th through the 11th, so basically Friday through next Tuesday.
Right.
So, hopefully that could mean a relatively normal session for Ravnica, although I'm basically prepping as though I might have to do Theater of the Mind for Ravnica. Which will be very doable as long as I actually have internet.
Yeah, so because all that, originally the fear was we're going to have to push this off again, but then I thought, well, wait a minute, because with what these guys have asked me that they wanted to do for this session, a lot of it is setting up plot lines for year 2. So it's like, we could technically do a recap of everything that's happened so far, even if there is one session left, because really the core of what is done is already done. So that's where it's like, we could just do the recap stream tonight, just basically swap it, because originally we were going to do the last session and then the recap stream. So we'll swap it around. Like, no big deal. There's plenty to talk about, between...
Oh, yeah.
Because we technically did do a recap stream. I think it was after session 8. It was around the time when MM came in. So we got a lot to talk about and cover on the recap. One of the things I actually want to do is I want to talk a little bit about the module itself and, explain what I've changed in it. Because it's like, suffice it to say, like, halfway through year 1, we started doing a lot of deviating. So I figured, give you a little bit of the behind-the-scenes magic. And then, we can always talk about, like, what are, like, talk about our characters, talk about what were some of your favorite moments, so far. And then, towards the end, got a couple little surprises, to share with you guys, like, not only regarding what to expect in year 2, but, just some other fun little things, that, hopefully get you excited, as well as some announcements. So,
That's right, chat. Danny's come to make an announcement.
Alrighty, and then, Mr. Maniac. Perfect, something to watch instead of needing to spend a full day's worth of watching streams to catch up. Yeah. Okay, so, my goal for year 2, because I did say year 2 is when, because my initial goal was I wanted to get year 1 done in, 10 sessions. Clearly that has not happened. And I was still trying to push, okay, we gotta keep the flow going, because we still have a character that hasn't come in yet. So it's like, we got it, come on, he's waiting. So this is with me even trying to push these guys to keep everything going. But come year 2, it's like, okay, now we can take the time to breathe, and we can take all the time we need to fully develop things. So as far as recaps go, for future recaps, I'm hoping, depending on how long these take, maybe a recap every season. So here's what's happened in the fall, here's what's happened in the spring, here's what's happened in, winter, summer, all of that. Again, depends on how long it takes to get us through the seasons in year 2. So, hopefully there won't be a moment, again, Maniac, where it's like, oh yeah, we're going 20 sessions and no recap. I would like to try to avoid that in the future, but I cannot make any promises, because every time I've tried making a promise, it never comes true. God damn it, D&D. Alright, so, like I said, I believe the last recap from what I saw on the playlist happened after session 8. So, starting from session 9, and I am just literally going to go through our story so far tab, because I do have a tab on Discord where I've been writing down basic synopses. So in session 9, MM attacks the party, and she summons a shadow spawn to join in the battle. Thistle was able to land the final shot, as well as destroying the crystal used to summon the shadow spawn. And then, once MM was able to, get back to her senses, when she sees Batsum, she sees a tree. So, right now, that's something nobody can really see, okay, we don't know where she's from, because we don't know anybody else who's seen a tree. So, again, that's part of that mystery. Canvas opens up about her past experience with Thopters, going into detail about how she lost her arm, how she met Amy, as well as a sworn enemy of her pirate family, Dovin Bond. And Canvas confirms with the Oracle that the Thopters were indeed brought by Dovin Bond, and it was to increase the school's security and the surveillance. Should Bond ever arrive on the campus, the Oracle would give Canvas some sort of signal and let her know. Amy, she asked Fane to deliver a letter to King Will back in Eldraine to, keep him updated on everything that's happened. So then, MM, she opens up a little bit more about her situation, and that is that there is a Fae spirit inside of her, and both are fighting for control over her body. Strixhaven can help in both of their goals. So, at that point, she was being kept in Silverquill for further interrogations until they can determine if she's truly a threat. And then, Luke wants to find a way to disrupt any possible signals that could be sent out beyond Arcavios. To do so, he'll need to reverse engineer an intact Thopter. So yeah, lots of stuff that happened there. Session 10. Amy goes to the Strixhaven Star to ask the journalist to conduct a survey on the students' feelings about the Thopters. Pacifico brings Amy and Canvas to Ravnica, where he fills out the paperwork to get 3 Azorius Thopters. MM is finally free to explore the school grounds. However, she has a small camera fixed to her. Like, it's literally like a little spider Thopter that drilled itself and latched onto one of her horns. She ends up meeting Thistle, and the two talk while exploring the Biblioplex. Canvas brings Amy and Pacifico to her workshop in Kaladesh. About a week passes. Pacifico finally gets the 3 Thopters from Ravnica, and he brings them to the World Scar in Tavastion for Luke to be able to begin working away from his lab in case anything goes wrong. Meanwhile, Thistle loves the idea of having incendiary rounds in his arsenal. And this is where Luke makes a swarm of his own Thopters, really small ones, that they happen to look like dragonflies. And this is the birth of the Dragon Spies. Session 11. This is where we did something a little different. We did it where I decided to put all the first years on a field trip. However, because we had 2 people that are with the party but not enrolled in the school, they missed out on this one. So, Session 11, what happened on their field trip? It's basically the beach episode. They go to the Pinzari Isles on the other side of the continent. And day 1 is spent at the beach. Pacifico interviews some crabs and fish. Canvas keeps an eye on Pacifico and she sunbathes. Amy has some fun with Lorene in the sea. And then Luke gathers a team to build a giant sandcastle.
Oh my god, that's what the sandcastle's what got me.
So,
Why'd you say it's still there?
What?
Knowing Luke...
I'm allowed to do.
Knowing Luke, it probably still is. Like, I wouldn't be surprised that when MM eventually gets to the Pinzari Isles, the sandcastle's still gonna be there. It would not surprise me. So...
I did not simply build a sandcastle. I built a sand castle.
That is a citadel.
It is a sand fortress.
Oh my god.
Okay, anywho. So, Pacifico has been talking to Grayson, and he learns that Grayson, not only does he just not trust Luke, but he's also envious of Luke being a respected leader. The class, on another day, they visit the Pinzari Snarl. Luke drags Badsum along for the ride. Amy and Quinn have a little dance in the water. Pacifico and Grayson start doing some scheming. And then Tilana and Canvas swim to the Snarl to, get it up close. And Tilana reveals to Canvas that she can actually hear the voices from the Snarl. And this is a concept that I created. This is the first introduction of a Snarl baby. So anybody who happened to be born close proximity to a Snarl, there's a chance that they could develop some kind of unique ability, whether it's a benefit or a detriment, depends on the person. And, Tilana is able to hear voices coming from the snarl. And I believe, the voices, so far there's the snarl at the biblioplex, which is just basically, he basically acts like another stern teacher, just kind of watching over everybody. And then the snarl at Pinzari Isles is, very friendly, very welcoming, considering it's a big tourist destination. Luke teaches everybody how to surf. And then right at the end of the field trip, Pacifico receives a letter from Grayson asking to speak to him in the park. But it was a trap by Orca to lure him out so that she could kill him. She turns invisible, and 3 trees suddenly come to life and attack. Oh, this perfect music change. It's yes, thank you, Jarno. Okay. So after the battle, Pacifico ends up stabbing Orca in the chest. But a hooded man takes her and teleports away, but not before acknowledging the prince. And they find that the trees have a black substance coming out of them. So now, session 12, we find out what has MM and Thistle been doing. Turns out the bitch is back. So this was before we decided on her name, so we were just calling the Fae Spirit Bitch. And Thistle, believe it or not, rather than being untrusting and hostile towards her, Thistle actually strikes a deal with her. She wants Thistle to find a way to get MM's body, and in return, she will bring him home. Thistle kind of is I'll get you, I'll find a way to get you, a different body. He wants to try to, get her out of MM without it killing her. The Silver Quill faculty discuss what to do about MM's situation since she's able to get around the Thopters so easily thanks to her illusion powers. Thistle and MM visit Batty, Tracy, and Witherbloom. And they learn about the consequences of traveling the Omen Paths unprotected. And Tracy suggests that they find a Fae body in the hopes of separating the two. Thistle has a dream where he first meets Spice, only for it to turn into a nightmare when he's attacked by an armored figure. MM and Thistle decide to get things for Amy, Canvas, Pacifico, and Luke as gifts. They gather some scrap metal for Canvas, Pacifico, and Luke's projects. For Amy, they actually steal roses from Silverquill and some fractal goldfish from Quandrix. For Luke, they give him the shards from the crystal that Bitch used when they first fought, just if he can find any use for them. For Pacifico, they buy him some painting supplies. And then for Canvas, they buy her a forgery kit. Meanwhile, Steam Mephits attack the Bow's End Tavern while MM and Thistle are eating dinner. And they find out that the cauldrons were treated with a substance called Eldritch Bomb. Thistle gets a glimpse of somebody watching them from afar, and when he pursues, he finds a Planeswalker symbol. MM tries to tap into the symbol, and all she sees is trees and black clouds. Meanwhile, a fairy named Vale has crossed the desert and has reached a forest to recover. She's taunted by what appears to be Thistle's voice, and she just flies into this rage, killing everything in sight. An elk counters with magic, which catches her attention, and she chooses to end the fight right then and there. Session 13. Thistle returns to patrolling while MM takes time to relax at the spa. Pacifico tells Grayson about Orca using his name in her trap, and Grayson wants to expose her and her mysterious companion and enlist Pacifico in helping him. Luke begins adjusting the dragon spies to incorporate the sea invisibility spell, and then Amy and Canvas just pass out. So everybody reunites at the Biblioplex, they exchange their gifts, and they inform each other of what has been happening in the past 5 days. At the labs, Luke and Erzmitok theorize that the Eldritch Bomb seems to be connected to these incidents in some way, and that Erzmitok is going to look further into it. Amy tells the group about her encounter with a trickster fairy when she was a child, how it led her away from her family and into the wilds, and she would be chased down by wolves. She would be saved before she could be killed, and John is remorseful for letting this happen to her, thus leading to his overprotectiveness. So the party decides, you know what, let's go to Eldraine and let's pay a visit to Amy's family. And
literally, Luke just
Yeah.
bitch slapped him.
Yeah.
That was my favorite moment.
yeah, Luke literally pimp smacks him with his ring hand. It's like, they confront him about his behavior, and Rowan actually orders an apology from him. And then ultimately, they come to an understanding, John is dismissed, and Rowan talks to the party about what has been happening with Strixhaven. And it turns out that while they're there, MM begins to get the hots for Rowan. Session 14. So everybody catches up and preps for this upcoming pitch. They're gonna pitch Luke's Dragon Spies to the faculty to replace Dovin Von Stopters. Bitch comes out, and the group decides, you know, we're not gonna call her Bitch anymore. We're gonna give her a new name, and ultimately the name is settled on Alice. Thistle expresses determination to look for a body for Alice in the Eldraine wilds, despite Amy's warnings. Pacifica loves words. I literally just wrote that. Pacifica loves words. Luke and Canvas, they do some more tinkering. And then Canvas finally opens up to Tilana about her fears of starting a relationship. And the two agree to a date at Bow's End Tavern. Pacifico drops by the Star and he gives Grayson some reports. And then he informs him that they suspect that there is an attraction between them, which they both deny. The group does their...
Because there totally isn't, guys. There totally isn't. It doesn't exist.
Okay. The group does their pitch in front of the deans. And it ultimately ends with a unanimous decision. The Kaladesh Stopters will be discontinued and replaced with Star Foundry's Dragon Spies. So everybody then goes to Bow's End Tavern to celebrate. Amy tries to confess her feelings to Quinn, but he be a himbo. And it pretty much takes her going up and kissing him directly to get the point across. And then that night, Amy has
something I remember about that was part of the scene where Amy's like super nervous about it. Pacifico just goes, "Okay, fine. If you won't, I will," because there was the whole thing during that time where it was Amy and Pacifico were both had the hots for Quinn.
Yeah.
So he used flirting with Quinn as a threat.
Yeah.
Literally. Also, Amy dropped his full name to get his attention.
Yeah. So ultimately, you know, it got the point across, and then the two end up hooking up. And then that night, Amy has a dream of her loved ones turning to stone. A voice is calling out for help, saying that monsters are coming. Session 15. Amy and Canvas go to Dean Tullis about her dream. She divines some cards and predicting that some friends that they know will be vital in the upcoming fight. Canvas and Tilana go on their date and they have a lovely time. Tilana experiences planeswalking for the first time, and she kisses Canvas on the forehead at the end of the night. Luke travels to find a library for a birthday tradition, and he finds himself at Silk Meadow, and he reads to a group of baby owlin. He talks to Gaiakirk Glintmantle, Shuvadri's father, about his dream of being a great artificer like his dad, but better. Reservations about this oncoming threat, his fear of failing to live up to the expectations he set for himself, and ultimately losing the people he loves the most. Luke and Pacifico have a heart-to-heart about how Pacifico feels everyone is just coddling him now, and, you know, even though he's coming to recognize his own strengths. Luke opens up about his own worries and shortcomings. And then, final exams, which everybody aces. And then we have Spring Jubilee shenanigans. Luke busts the damn maze via crackhead energy.
Oh my fucking god!
It's like, yeah,
Hear me and my infinite power.
like, here I am thinking, okay, yeah, people are gonna probably be like, oh, I know, we'll just climb over the wall. Okay, we'll just have the wall extend, and then Luke is like, but I'm not touching the wall. I just catapult over it.
But what if I used your specific wording against you?
Exactly. It's
I
like,
need to point out, my therapist is also a D&D player, and when I told her this story, she was like, oh my god, that is both clever and wow.
that's where it's like, as soon as he suggested this, I was like, fuck it, I'm giving it to you. And he just, yeah, so just imagine this raccoon just catapulting all over the goddamn maze.
I mean, to be fair, he did take a lot of damage.
If I may, yeet.
Yeet. Yes.
I can't stop winning!
He really can't.
I mean, that pretty much is me. I have consistently come up with incredible ways of causing problems.
I think I even had Grayson comment on that. He's like, why does he keep winning? It's like,
Why does he keep getting away with this?
It's like, yeah, it's like, you can't stop this guy.
He can't keep getting away with this!
I cannot believe Luke Lucky Star won the Royal Rumble.
Oh, yes.
You put a challenge in front of me, and I can guarantee there is a series of spells that I can use that will let me skip it.
Yeah. Oh, good. And then, and then while they were in the maze, they also found some items. Okay, so now.
I didn't find anything. I was flying.
You didn't need to.
I'm pretty sure you found God.
Okay.
No, the gods saw me for the first time.
Alright, so, session 16. Amy, Canvas, and MM, they go to Heavenfell and just have a girls' night to themselves. Luke invites several of the students to the Great Forest to tell him of his true identity, that being Tilana, Quintilius, Grayson, and Shivaudry. Pacifico unloads his frustrations at the water dancing club and tells Lorene he will not be coming back next year. The two agree that it would be good for the both of them to grow, and Lorene proposes sending out some kind of signal to alert everyone for when the battle begins. And, with that, Pacifico got Lorene's bond boon, where she can literally, all he has to do is ask her to create a distraction, and she will do it. Alice appears to talk to Pacifico, questioning Amy's true intentions. Campus is working on upgrading her arm. Pacifico talks with Cadoris while waiting for Grayson, and, well, surprise, surprise, he's got the hots for the elf now, and he offers to go on a date with him. And then...
Caddyshack is the name of that ship. I don't care what anyone says.
Caddyshack.
I mean, literally, a Caddyshack is... well, the shack part is like the whole, it's based off of the surf sharks, things you see at, ocean-themed, carnivals and shit.
Yeah. Okay.
But it should be Caddy Shark, right?
Yeah, Caddyshack.
No, it's still Caddyshack.
Okay. Anywho.
And it seems Caddyshack seems a little too esoteric because you have to you have to explain the shack part too much.
Yeah.
Okay. Anywho, the girl who had contacted Amy in her dream has now come to MM, saying that the monsters are coming from the Sedgemoor swamps. MM decides to venture into Witherbloom alone, makes her way to the wall of the school, where she hears rustling coming from outside, and scales the wall to investigate. Session 17. Ursmuktok happened to see MM scaling the wall and follows, and MM ends up finding that girl that contacted them into the dreams, and learns that, her name is Kiha. And Kiha is trapped in a giant spider web. MM is able to cut her free and drops the spider into the murky waters below. She brings Kiha back to the dorms, informs everyone of what happened when they wake up, They work on their own personal projects while they wait for Kiha to wake up. Training is held at the Strixhaven Stadium to get everybody ready for this oncoming attack. Pacifico realizes that the water in Quandrix is not affected by the tainted magic, despite the college being next to Witherbloom. Turns out Quandrix is using math magic to filter and purify the water that they use. So Luke suggests that they gather some and bring it to Urzmiktok to make a counter-agent. And with preparations made, everybody gathers at the edge of Witherbloom grounds and they finalize their prep work. Dean Cayenne uses some math magic to build 3 trebuchet catapults, and everybody divides into 3 teams: a frontal assault team, a support team, and a catapult team. Session 18. Everybody plunges into the swamp and they start clearing it of the monsters. They find Thistle's rifle in the corner of the swamp with signs of a battle taking place, but Thistle is nowhere to be seen. The frogs from earlier in the campaign are found, and they say that somebody fed them goopy berries, which is what made them the big monsters that they fought before. The giant spider that MM and Kia previously encountered reappears, mutated and pissed. The support team finds a contraption in an underground spring containing a crystal that contained the animate object spell. Amy and Grayson use their counter-agents to purify the spring. Lorene signals for the catapult team, and they launch the killing blow against the spider. The front team purifies their spring, and they find a crystal containing the awakening spell. They also happen to find animal tracks outside of the island sheds, going back and forth between them, some Kaladesh metal, and a strange metal egg. It appears somebody was using these sheds, but then they packed up in a hurry. And thus everybody gets their final level up for the year. Verelda Lang races into the swamp and comes face to face with the hooded figure. He reveals himself as Strixhaven's greatest mistake, his true name being Mergoxor Grenshell. He came here to observe and was very impressed with the transformation of the swamp. And everybody backs away and he teleports. Session 19. Cayenne brings everybody to the Dean Convention Hall, and Kiha is to be escorted home. Verelda Lang explains that she and Mergoxor were classmates. He was born with exceptional power, but at the cost of his body rotting away. This has doomed him to living a very short life. The Deans explain that Strixhaven has a vault full of powerful and dangerous spells and relics that they keep locked away from everybody, and they believe that Mergoxor intends to break into it with Orca's help. Mergoxor has murdered a friend of his and Verelda's, and any attempts in the past to try to resurrect or communicate with their friend has ended in failure. The Oracle has tasked the party to help build a force to combat Mergoxor's group. They decide to go by a name in order to carry out these missions in secret. The Convergent Embassy. Several suggestions for recruits. Tilana, Kiha, Kadoris, Grayson, Rubina, and Shivaudry. The group agrees to use the abandoned shacks in Sedgemoor as a meeting place for the Convergent Embassy. Luke makes special rings for the embassy members so that the creatures in Sedgemoor can recognize them and not attack them. And then with that, it's now hitting the end of the year, so everybody except for MM, they have to sign up for their colleges and make it official. So, Amy going to Lorehold, Canvas and Luke going to Quandrix, Pacifico going to Prismari. Pacifico and Lorene do one final water dancing performance, and they do very well. Luke introduces the Dragon Spies on behalf of Crowash Bluetwig, while the members of the Strixhaven Star are handing out their final newspaper for the year. And again, Pacifico is getting frustrated with the Luke and Grayson rivalry. Amy performs a play recapping the year's events with some alterations. And Alice decides to fuck with Amy by using illusions of fairies in order to distract her. Canvas works at the stadium as the Silk Ball team has their final game. And then MM finally receives an acceptance letter to Strixhaven. And she ultimately has the Thopter on her horn removed. So, Canvas, Amy, Pacifico, and MM return to the dorms to celebrate while Luke is wrapping things up in at the tavern. And that's when the Oracle, Jadzi, sends a message to Canvas asking her to stay in the dorms and to keep Amy with her. And Canvas knows full well what that means. So,
Oh, yeah.
Session 20, the last session that we had. Dovin Bond comes to the tavern. He orders some food and drink, and he reads the Strixhaven Star. Pacifico storms to the tavern, while MM, Canvas, and Amy are sneaking outside. And ultimately, MM decides, I'll walk into the tavern. Dovin chooses to talk to Pacifico about how the charges against him in Ravnica were made in error. Pacifico opens up and tells the group of when he first met Carla Sabatelli, how they became friends and later enemies. He still struggles with accepting and forgiving himself, fearing that he will continue to hurt the people he loves. The first meeting of the Convergent Embassy commences, and everybody plans out what they will be doing during the summer. And then lastly, Canvas asks the party to come to Kaladesh to be with her when she confronts her mother and the crew of the Dragon's Smile. And that is where we left off. So yeah, a lot of things happened. Oh, and I see.
If I may, real quick, I'm a little bit disappointed in one thing that didn't make the recap.
Yeah.
Pacifico's kaiju battle did not make the recap, and I'm upset.
I was about to say, like, that was probably my favorite moment in that entire fight. Just giant.
Yeah, just keep casting enlarge on him and just have him go to town.
Next level up, I am taking that spell just so I can. Me and Luke could keep doing that.
All right, so you know what? While we're all talking about that, so I guess yeah, what were some of your guys' favorite moments to have happened in this campaign so far?
I'm incredibly biased. Honestly, breaking the maze is probably my favorite moment. Because that's a spell combination I don't think any of you have seen in your time playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, no. Like I don't think I've seen any. I think as far as like in games and stuff, the only other time I think I've seen any of us use catapults, I think, was because I know I used catapults. I think in a Neopets one shot that Realms was hosting, and I was yeeting shit. But other than that, it's like, yeah, catapult. Not a lot of people using catapult, and clearly catapult has its uses.
Yeah, no, I know Baku had catapult on his spell list. It just didn't get used very much because he had the ability to just, like, again, toss ball bearings, have effects on them that did things. So, like,
I like to think of it as Baku used manual catapult in the fact that he had gun.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Mundane catapult. That's just a pistol. Yeah.
I also need to point out to the DM there, I did give Luke those blueprints to the catapults, and I'm kind of scared that Luke may have copied those down for further use, quote unquote.
I would actually like to imagine
the base won't have any defenses.
Yeah.
There will be catapult. There will be. There has to be.
There will be weaponry surrounding the base to protect it from people who should not be there.
Probably another favorite moment of mine has to be, what was it? Freaking Pacifico talking about Ajani during that one session. I forget which
Yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, was
There
that?
were I think there were 2 different times that Pacifico was talking a little bit about a Johnny. Were you talking about the point where he said that at one point he had a crush on a Johnny?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was pretty early that that happened. That was like fall festival stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think
I
that.
think so.
Yeah, I think that was Fall Festival because that was when like
Oh, yeah,
because Pacifico and Canvas you guys dressed up and had like a mock fight.
Oh my god, the pumpkin bomb.
Luke's pumpkin bomb that he blows up at Grayson. Like that.
One of my favorite moments have to do with Luke.
Because I generate laughs.
I do think there have been a lot of there's been a lot of drama involved with Pacifico.
Mm-hmm.
I think when Pacifico like rages against Carla but actually has control, like in that moment, that's sort of got a lot of narrative to it.
Have fun.
But then he still makes the decision to go for the kill.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was also another favorite when I casted a guiding bolt on Carla as soon as she appeared. And I could tell Boone was like, oh yeah, it's coming together.
Alright, I guess TP, Beans, what were some of your favorite moments?
I'm not good with specific moments. I'll be honest.
That's okay.
I'm also just like, even with recaps and everything, I'm historically terrible at remembering things that have happened in the past.
Ah.
As someone who plays in quite a few games with B, I can confirm.
No problem.
Yeah.
It takes me putting down notes for anything to be remembered by anyone at our table.
Okay, and then I guess TP, do you have a favorite moment? Is TP even there?
Is your mic muted?
No. It might have stepped away.
Oh,
I may not have muted Discord, but I muted the other mic, and I didn't realize that at first.
Oh,
my
I
God.
knew it!
Oh, okay. Yeah, because we
Once again, I am right.
because we didn't see the little icon, so I was like, okay, I'm thinking maybe you stepped away from the computer for a
Now,
minute.
I'm well aware of people just being able to mute their mics outside of Discord, so it's always something you've got to ask.
Okay.
I have a kitty in my lap now.
Yay. All right.
Oh no,
Okay.
Jen is trapped.
Alright, anyway, so TP, I was asking, do you have a favorite moment in this campaign?
I need to think about that. Honestly, I think, Luke messing with the maze is easily one of my favorite parts.
It's like, okay, clearly...
I can't blame you. It was wonderful.
It was great. I loved it.
The fact that my own therapist thought that was like, wow.
I know, it's like, here I am thinking I'm being smart, and and Leonard just goes, hold my beer.
No, the thing is, you were being smart. You recognized that I would absolutely find a way around it. You just didn't realize how deep my talent for fucking around and not finding out goes.
Actually, I do have another moment that I really loved that has to do with Pacifico.
Okay.
It's like after we got done with the Snarl and the Panzari Isles, Amy goes, "I danced with Quinn underwater." And next thing you know, I hear Pacifico going, "That could have been my thing, damn it!"
Why did I think of that?
What else? What?
Yeah, it's like
Speaking of the Isles, I'm still salty.
you'll be getting there. So
Don't worry, the Sand Fortress will still be there for you.
You will get your field trip.
I will fucking update that beach map to put the Sand Fortress in there. It's like I will do that.
Really like the
I
idea.
will do it.
I am not going to deny it. I think probably the Panzari Isles just freaking makes that one of their new landmarks.
I really like the idea that because it's got good craftsmanship, but it's also still made out of sand, not sandstone. Like you didn't fire the sand and do a bunch of that stuff. You just made a really, really stable sandcastle. I like the idea that the following year, rather than it being washed away or anything like that, it's a sand ruins now. Of bygone age.
The bygone age of a year ago.
Yes.
No, for those, I think I commented it in the little chat that we had. I don't know if like the actual stream chat got to see, but like I was a bit. I mentioned, oh, they had the Sun and Moon characters in here, and I didn't even get to hear.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where I was like, I needed to grab some like random characters, like island characters, and it was just, yeah, Pokemon Sun and Moon just happened to be the first thing I thought of, and I was like, done.
So your boy Guzma up in there.
I want to meet my boy Guzma.
You'll meet your boy Guzma. Okay. Anywho, Mr. Maniac says this stream is reminding me that I'm actually gonna finally be trying out D&D when some more D&D interested friend gets a new computer. I'm actually working with her to make my character. It's like, yay!
Hell yeah!
Nice.
Hell yeah.
Welcome to your newest addiction.
True.
You will never
As with
escape.
Yeah.
As with everything like this, I suggest trying to find a game in person, because that is, no offense to these online games, because I adore this online game, but the in-person games can be pretty special.
Yeah, that's where it's like, yeah.
Especially since.
Yeah, that's where it's like, all I've done has been the online stuff with you guys. I haven't tried playing, like, yeah, in person.
If you can look the other players in the eyes and tell them things, it tends to hit harder than it does over a screen.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. We have to almost explain everything. We have to explain every minute, almost minute detail sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh,
But if it was even if we're recording in person, sometimes you can see those details. You can see the look.
Mm-hmm.
You can see everything.
There are times where I'm super in character with the online games, and I will sort of make a physical motion that my character would be making, and I have to remember to say that I'm making a motion like that, because I'm so in character that I'm physically doing the thing that that the character would be doing.
Right.
I understand. I
do that literally all the time I'm in character.
Yeah. Sometimes when you hear me in the middle of what I'm saying go out of the accent and give narration, that's exactly what's happening most of the time.
Gotcha. That's like, I swear, I swear, it's like, yeah, if a bunch of us ever get back to like MomoCon again or something, it's like we gotta do a one shot or something to actually like have that experience of playing face to face with each other.
If I can get my finances right to go back to MomoCon in 2026, that'll be the hope.
Yeah, yeah.
If leaving Australia wasn't fuck off expensive, I'd try.
Yeah, no, understandable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, it is unreasonably fuck off expensive to try and get out of this country.
Damn.
And then if you're not, and like, yeah, and also just having like trying to find a hotel.
Yeah, it's
Or-
like
Yeah.
yeah, the travel, the hotel, money for food, and then souvenirs.
It is so like
yeah, you got a plan for that shit.
Yeah.
It's fuck off expensive to go from one side of this country to the other.
Oof.
Oh my god, I just remembered another funny moment that actually happened recently.
Okay.
Amy trying to say Principe Feroce and ended up saying Principal Fettuccine.
It's like, purposefully mispronouncing it.
I am reminded of what was it that everyone kept fucking up in the MM and Thistle episode while everyone was on holiday?
Oh, they were just going around campus stealing shit.
No, there was a word that kept fucking up.
Oh.
Conductive. Fuck, you kept saying conductible. All of you.
I don't think I was saying that.
You were.
I will say I do have a list of things of Amy mispronouncing Principal blah 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 Feroce.
Yeah, it's like, hey, letter. Yacht!
Oh no, don't you worry. Don't you worry. It's coming.
I violently hate.
Do I dare ask?
Yeah, so it's like...
You don't even need to ask. They just kept saying yacht when the word is yacht.
No. Only Danny did that.
That's true. It was only Danny, but the word is yacht, for fuck's sake.
I know. Yeah, but then he's like, I'm not gonna let you live that down. And it's like, well, we're just gonna have to create like an NPC and fucking own this.
You're gonna have to, because there is no escape.
I literally said, I've got rooming call time.
Alright, so at some point, either in me or most likely Boone's campaign, there is gonna be a character called Yacht.
Fucking yacht.
Maybe
Any of you learn the English language by chance? Any of
No.
you?
No.
yacht.
I learned.
As a natural born English speaker, no.
Look, I did learn the English language, but the English language is also really fucking hard.
It's also really stupid.
It is stupid.
And then eventually somebody is going to be calling us noodle boys.
Noodle boy.
Noodle boy.
Oh, yes.
One of us is gonna call you noodle boy. The other one's gonna call you peasant.
Peasant.
Well, I mean, he can call you both. It just depends on the mood. You're either noodle boy or peasant.
Why not noodle peasant?
Oh, I found all the things I'm going to be mispronouncing that Italian phrase.
Mortals.
Yeah. So that's like...
Kimchi fur coat, Principal Fettuccine, Princely P forklifties, Princely Pie filet mignon, participation forecast.
This, like, at this point, like, it reaches the point where it's on purpose to try to disarm the phrase in Pacifico's mind.
Also, just to piss off Orca.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Which Orca's gonna be like, that bitch, she's next.
Speaking of which, personally, one of my favorite moments, I think, really, was the Dragon Spy stuff. Like, from the building of it, the pitching of it. I just loved that entire thing because, like, okay, this is actually a good segue. So, prime example of, of the campaign going off the fucking rails. Because, like, in a good way.
You're welcome.
Yeah, in a good way. No, but it's in a good way, though. Because literally, like, all I did was, like, okay, yeah, I'm going to throw in Dovenbon's Thopters and just being like, okay, we'll just leave that there so you're aware of it. And, okay, and leave it at that and we just move on with the story. I did not anticipate that you guys would be like, oh, nope, we got to get rid of these fuckers. And, yeah, you guys decided to focus on doing this whole thing with the Dragon Spies. And it's like, oh, wow, I think that was really the first time we really went off module. Because up until that point, I mean, I changed a couple things on the module here and there, but we were mostly still following it, pretty closely. That was the point where it's like, yeah, nope, now we're doing our own thing. And honestly, I think that's one of the best things to have happened in this campaign, because I don't know if this is the same with all modules. Maybe if you guys who have run modules can tell me, but the way Strixhaven is written in the module, you are very much expected to just kind of be, like, passive in this one. Like, strange thing happens. Oh, well, that was weird. Moving on to the next class. Strange thing happens. Oh, that's weird. Move on. And you're like that the entire year. Like, the campaign does not, like, remotely treat you as if, oh, you're gonna be proactive and figure out what the hell is going on. It's like, no, the campaign is not written that way. It's just, shit happens, there's all these, like, things transforming into monsters, and you're just expected to go, no, okay, that's weird, moving on. Like, literally, the end of year 1, when you go into Sedgemoor. Here's how Sedgemoor is written in Strixhaven. Like, I think it's like Varelda Lang asks you, hey, I need some, like, components for, some Witherbloom stuff. Can you go to Sedgemoor and fetch it for me? I shit you not. While you are in Sedgemoor, you just happen to come across the underground spring that has the tainted water that they're using to make the Eldritch Bomb. And it's like, oh, that's what's causing all the problems. Okay, let's just dump some holy water in there and problem solved. It's literally fucking, like, the luckiest fucking chances that you would find this thing. So that's where it's like, I don't know if other modules are just written that way, like, it's written so, like, you're not really encouraged to be proactive. So the fact that you guys took off with the Dragon Spies, I loved that, because that just shows, like, yeah, this is a party that is going to be proactive. They're not just going to sit around and wait for shit to happen.
Wait a minute.
It's a pretty bad module, I'm not gonna lie.
Wait a minute. Danny, does that imply that we somehow made holy water out of math?
So the thing with originally, like, yeah, the campaign was, yeah, you just dump some holy water and that just, like, magically clears up the water or something. The fact that we ran with the whole, oh, we're literally making a counter agent based off of the filtered Quadrix water, I actually like that a hell of a lot more than holy water.
Well, the thing is, I was going off of, like...
Yes, everything is possible with math magic.
I mean, the thing is, I was also going off of what you said in the prophecy, and then I kind of had a brain blast of what that could potentially mean.
Oh yes, the prophecies. So yeah, like, okay, so yeah, this whole thing, like, yeah, an idea that ultimately ended up changing as we went, because originally I had done, like, okay, I kind of wanted to do, like, what I did, if you remember, during the fall, where you had Fortunes read by Augustus Tullus. And I literally like flipped a coin, and depending on what it landed on, you either got a clue about something in Captain Dapplewing's manor, or you got a clue about a personal enemy. And it's like, I think like Pacifico was the only one to get something about the personal enemy. Everybody else got a clue about the manor. But it's like, I really like...
And what's interesting is, in Pacifico's case, that actually winds up being both.
Yeah. But it was like, I actually kind of, I thought that, I had a lot of fun with that. So I went to Jen and saying, hey, bust out the tarot cards. Let's try and do something like this, but let's bring tarot cards into this. So basically she was pulling out cards and was saying, okay, this is what it means. So then it was my job to be like, okay, how can I fit this into the Sedgemoor shit? Because, like I said, I wasn't doing the whole, we're just gonna wander into the swamp and be like, what do you know? Tainted water. Done. It's like, yeah, no. By that point, I had been like, no, this is a pretty big fucking deal. We need to make a big deal out of this. And that was where I decided to do the whole, okay, there's monsters coming from Sedgemoor, from like the tainted water. It's just gone completely out of control, and they're making their way to Strixhaven, and thus did this whole thing that took several sessions of prep work. So pretty much like when I decide, okay, this is where we're going with this, that was ultimately my job to try and figure out, okay, how can I turn these cards into like helpful hints? Whether it's like, something maybe you find in the swamp, or maybe there's like a puzzle that needs to be solved or something, and it's like, that was where I was going with it. I think it ultimately, a lot of it either changed or just ended up getting dropped. Like, because like, that was also the session that, kind of kickstarted the whole, like, it kind of kickstarted the whole rift with Jordan and D&D, and him ultimately choosing to step away. So, in the long run, not a very good idea, but, it is what it is. Yeah, but I had initially thought that was a fun idea. Didn't go as planned, so I was like, okay, better rethink something like that in the future. Like, another thing...
But some did fall into place.
Yeah. It's like, another thing that I definitely want to revisit, but I really need to, like, fine-tune it, and I think this is where I'm going to need your guys' help with, is, working with multiple teams of people at once. Because I like the idea, and especially since now that we've got the whole Convergent Embassy, it wouldn't be, too far beyond the realm of possibility where I'll be like, okay, there's something happening that we specifically need the Convergent Embassy on, and it's like, yeah, we can have teams specifically with the embassy group. So it might be like, okay, we split into teams. I give you guys character sheets for, the NPCs, and we go from there. I do want to revisit that, because I do think there's potential in it, but I really need to fine-tune how the hell I'm going to approach it, because it's like, on one hand, it was like, session 1, I was like, okay, well, I'll control everybody individually while they're fighting the mimics, and it dragged the battle way too long. So it's like, okay, I'll give you guys the character sheets so you can control the characters, and I'll try playing around with the swarming idea, which is what we were doing in Curse of Strahd, and then you guys just steamrolled the whole thing. Like, there was no challenge at all. So I went from one extreme to the other. So I gotta find that fucking middle ground.
In defense of the giving us control, it helps that in the fact that as players we are experienced in. Well, we typically picked out characters that either we had a in-character reason for having a bond with, or whose abilities we'd already be able to handle.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in my case, I picked 3 spellcasters. I deliberately picked out a trio. I picked out the other two characters, knowing I would be able to use their kit effectively.
Yeah.
So it's not really the extreme. It's just that combat felt smoother with us all controlling the other NPCs because we knew what we were doing with them.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's where it's like, I do think that's, because, like, again, I like that idea. If, I don't know if you guys like that idea or not, that we can keep revisiting that concept and just kind of working it a little bit more.
absolutely.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me that maybe, maybe eventually in the future, I'm just saying this, I don't know if you're going to incorporate this idea, is that maybe, like, we start having, like, little quote-unquote pop quizzes. Basically, the teachers give us a quick battle, and then and then you assign an NPC to us to help us with the said battle.
Yeah, I think it depends. I think that would depend on the class, because, again, some of these classes that we have that are in the curriculum, it's like it totally makes sense to have sparring matches, and then there are others where it's like, yeah, no. Yeah, but
Maybe in the future we do have to go back into the swamp eventually, taking the idea of...
Well, your base is in the swamp, you're going back.
Right, obviously, but I mean more of a class assignment thing, maybe Professor Lang's okay, I need to test these guys on their teamwork skills, now since they're not in full-on panic mode.
Right.
It's I need you to go out here and do this, this, and this.
Okay.
And you're allowed to take one partner with you.
Yeah, I mean, I'll think about it.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, because I believe me, there are some ideas that I've got for year 2, and I'll get to them later on in the stream. So there is some things I am willing to publicly share, but we'll get to it later.
Yeah, I do like the partner mechanic, or taking over an NPC for the time being. It's just, finding other ways to, incorporate that idea.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's between that and I think also trying to find balance, what's it called, battle economy or something,
Action economy.
Action economy. I know that is something I know I've been struggling with a lot, and I know first time DM and shit, but it's when there is so much on the board that I gotta pay attention to, and I'm trying to keep the flow going, and I'm just fuck.
I am sad, though, that Pacifico did not adopt the blue froggy.
Yeah, don't worry. Alright, so then I guess while we're talking about other DM stuff, again, I'll just prostrate myself in front of you guys. Is there anything either as a DM that I could be doing better, or anything in the campaign that you feel could need some improvements, that kind of stuff?
Honestly, I am liking how it's going. There's a really good balance between roleplay and battle. Battling comes in it's okay, this is it's not necessarily raising the stakes, but it's okay, we there's a lot of students here, we need to fight. It's a good balance. You're not just throwing random monsters for no reason. You're throwing them for a good reason.
Mm.
And it's
it's always better. it's always better when the fights feel like there's a reason for them to happen. Like, as much as like random encounters is like a thing that you can do and it's like a super easy way to handle things, I always prefer it when you can actually like put some weight behind what you're doing. And that's something you're doing a good job of doing.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
even I feel like even with a random encounter, there should be a reason that it's happening.
Yeah. And,
Maybe I'm weird like that, but you know.
Yeah, no, it's not like it's not like fights back to back. You do space out the fights, and that's what I like.
Okay. All right, I guess like letter TP beans. Anything to add?
Well, what I have to add is a bit strange because the kind of DM that I am, as you've experienced before, I enjoy a measure of difficulty when it comes to combat.
Mm-hmm.
I like making fights feel hard, while secretly making them quite hard to lose.
Okay.
Basically challenging, but not too challenging.
I like to put you guys in situations where it feels like this fight may end up taking you down. But behind the scenes, I am constantly tweaking variables. And you've been making fights feel like that for me, which is really good.
Okay.
It's something that I personally enjoy.
All right. Yeah, it's like, yeah, and I mean, I can definitely say, like, as a DM, like, again, like, because, like, with how you guys have been playing and handling the story and such, that's where it's like, I mean, yeah, you guys have forced me to rethink things, and, you know, that's very much a good thing. Like, you know, okay, like, yeah, you did the whole Dragon Spy stuff, but then, yeah, after the fight with Orca, I was like, okay, I think this could be a fun challenge. Let's give her the ability to be invisible. It's like, I figured that was going to be the fun challenge, and, like, that's going to be something wholly unique to Orca. And it was like, after that fight, it was like, yeah, you focused on, okay, we got to get the Dragon Spies to be able to detect the invisibility. Take that advantage away from her. So now it's like, okay, now I got to think, okay, is there a way I can have her get around it or change how she fights completely? Like, you know, yeah, that's my next challenge. And it's like, I got some ideas, you know, on how to handle shit like that in the future. But it's like, you know, but again, I really like that because it's like, yeah, it's forcing me to try to, like, you know, think a little differently, think a little bit more creatively on how to handle boss monsters besides just, okay, I'm just going to throw this skill and this thing, you know, just kind of like mishmashing shit and just like throwing shit to the wall and see what sticks.
Throwing the mop pack at the wall, see if it sticks.
I can't confirm it doesn't. Typically it bounces off.
Unless it's like one of those like Velcro walls. like the ones in the bouncy houses where it's like you gotta wear the Velcro vest and the whole point is to stick yourself to the wall.
Oh, God. You know, Luke would be crazy enough to invent something like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, outside of
Crazy like a fox.
I'm a Mapak.
Never mind.
Trash Panda.
At least he's not a bin chicken.
You call me trash again, and I will show you what I can do with trash.
Nah, he's a bin chicken.
No, Luke absolutely would be the guy that he's like, I'm just gonna go to a dumpster, grab every fucking microwave, and I'll make a fucking death ray out of them.
Oh, absolutely. Styropyro is his spirit animal.
Yeah.
Styropyro is Luke's spirit animal.
Yeah, that's like, if you ever watch the anime King of Braves Gao Gai Gar, literally the first episode you have is this giant monster made of garbage, and it literally shoots out of one hand fire beams made out of freaking microwaves, and out of the other hand, ice beams out of refrigerators. That is a fucking thing in a goddamn mecha show. It's amazing.
It sounds amazing.
It do.
Alrighty.
Truthfully, I wish I had some. I wish I could have something to add to the conversation of combat and whatnot, but I'm not nearly as experienced as like or Letter in that regard.
That's okay. That's okay. It's like, alright, so, I think this is, good time. I think, okay, I guess, random, discussion shift again. Hopefully, TP, this can be something where you can, like, participate a little bit more. Yeah, let's talk about our villains.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, at least the villains that we've encountered so far. So... Yeah, alright, so, I guess we'll technically start with the first one that came in, so that was Orca.
I like Orca, because, like, you don't really see a lot of assassin villains. Like, yeah, there's assassin henchmen, but you don't have, like, a main assassin bad guy in certain stories.
Okay.
And I do like the fact that she uses invisibility to her advantage. Wait.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, so that's like, I remembered, like, yeah, I think technically she was introduced prior to the first recap, so I'm sure we're gonna be repeating ourselves a little bit here, but it was like yeah, when I was talking with Boone, and he was telling me, diving into Boone canon, and he was telling me about this whole
Technically, this isn't Boone canon.
Oh, it's not? I thought.
No.
Oh, I thought it was. Okay. But he was telling me about like this Sabatelli crime family, and I was like, oh, this actually sounds like this is something we can work with. And then, ultimately he's like, yeah, go on ahead and come up with something, to my own discretion. And I think at that point in time, I don't think you had settled on MM yet, TP. So at the time, pretty much all the villains that I knew that you guys wanted were all guys. So it's like, we need some bad bitches in this campaign. So that's ultimately where I decided, okay, yeah, we need Orca in here. Like, yeah, let's have her be a woman. And then TP came in with MM and explained his concept. So it's like, yes, she's not the token female villain. Yes. But
wasn't the plan, but you know what? Works out.
It works. Yeah, it works. We take this. But so yeah, so that was ultimately where I decided, I think this could make for an interesting concept. And so fun fact, I think originally when I had introduced her, and when there was a point where you guys went to Devastian, and you actually grabbed Pacifico's brother Corona, and you were interrogating some of the mobsters that you had in the jail, and that was like some of the first information that you were starting to get behind Carla. I think originally, because at the time I wasn't sure like how far Boone had planned with this mafia family, so I was like, okay, I do need her to have some importance, but I didn't want to like step on his toes or anything. So I think originally I had it planned like, yeah, she's gonna be the daughter of like maybe like a high-ranking official in there, maybe like the consigliere or something. But then ultimately, like as Boone and I were coming up with ideas for Pacifico and Carla, I think, yeah, like ultimately, like we started coming up with all these ideas and I ended up really liking them. And it's like, yeah, it kind of quietly maybe got retconned into being, okay, no, she's actually the boss's daughter.
Yeah, I ended up kind of feeling the whole boss's daughter angle too when it started looking like that was the direction it was going. And I had told this is something that I told her that maybe people would not be aware of. I told her that anything pre-established in terms of Tavastian is pretty easy to retcon, so we are free to just come up with new shit.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, we can do that then.
Yeah, wasn't the World Scar was originally not part of that?
No, the World Scar was actually a part of it that I did not get to use.
Ah.
Let's see, it's like a...
So yeah, it was actually there from the beginning.
Yeah, I see a Kurisu Dragon Reaper says, like, an orca that's got Sonic by a collar and leash, Danny. Lol. It's like, there's a reason she goes by the codename Orca. It's an apex predator that eats sharks. That's why she chose the name.
No.
Damn, imagine hating so hard, you literally name yourself the antithesis of the person you want to kill.
What I just think is what ended up happening, and I find so fucking
This
hilarious.
is adorable.
Like, what ends up being so fucking hilarious, if anything, is it's like, yeah, once we got the whole flashback with Pacifico and Carla, and how, yeah, the two of them were friends. She was his first friend, and after everything that happened, and it just she completely turned against him. I just find it so funny now that it's like, in the context of like when Strixhaven started, and it's like, it mostly is because Boone didn't know what I was planning, but it's just funny to think that it's like, all these years have passed, and like Pacifico, it's like Carla just kind of like faded from his memory for a little bit. So it was like, it wasn't until she came back and called him El Principe Feroce that he was like, oh fuck, because he's kind of moved on from that in a way. Meanwhile, Pacifico's just been living rent-free in her head for all these years.
Damn, sounds like she's been crushing on him hard.
That's twice that's happened if that's the case.
Oh no, she's not in love with him. She fucking hates him.
I don't know. To hate means you genuinely care enough to hate.
Well, to be fair, that is very true. Like, that's definitely
to
very
hate
true.
Someone, you must care enough beforehand.
Yeah. And we saw how much she cared about him.
But to continue said hatred requires that caring continues as well. To continue hating someone is really hard. Take it from someone who hates a lot of people. Who disappeared?
Boogie.
Oh, music bot.
Oh.
But yeah,
Damn it.
to continue to hate someone.
She hates him the way that Kendrick Lamar hates Drake.
I don't even think they hate each other. They're doing it for the clout. It's bait and you're all falling for it.
No! Bro, there's lawsuits. You can't say that now.
There we go. Brought Boogie back.
Drake is actually suing. You can't say that now.
I can and I will. Nothing will stop me.
I mean, okay, in fairness, you can say that.
But that doesn't make it true. That there's evidence against you, my guy.
There may be evidence against me, but there is no evidence on my side, and that means I'm right.
That's not how that works. That's not how evidence works at all.
Let her,
Tell
let
that to the Christian.
her, let her go to your
That,
attic.
for legal reasons, that is a joke.
Let her go to the attic. Go to your
No.
attic right now.
I don't have an attic. I live in Australia.
Okay, go to your basement.
We don't have basements here either. The ground below us is literally owned by the government.
Okay, then go to the bush.
I may live rurally, but the bush is still like 3 hours away.
It's like, no, you go in the bush.
You think you can stop me?
See, Luke, it's more so just like, like, go to your room. No, you go to your room. Oh.
Oh my god.
On a slightly hilarious note, since I think everyone in the current party except for has met Orca by this point.
Yes. Yeah, right now, yeah, is the only one who's not met her.
Yeah. Which I think makes it really funny that because of the New Year's the World Weaver's Web one shot that was hosted by Letter, technically a completely different character of mine met her before.
Right.
Before the one that's intended to actually be like fighting her, like, okay, not intent, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, yeah, yeah.
Al-
It's like, yeah.
Also, Orca met a different lawyer.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, she tried chucking a knife at him, and the knife just goes in slow motion.
I love World Weaver's Web, and I love that you decided to pick a lawyer on the year that I happened to have the poses done as Phoenix Wright.
It was
She
really
flings a
fun.
knife at him in slow motion. Even if it had been going in regular motion, he just would have. It would have planked off based on what his AC is. It would have planked off of him.
I think it was really funny that that Orca just became just like the punching bag of that entire session.
I expected that! It's like, it's a freaking villain. What did you expect? Like, this
She
is...
brought it upon herself by continuing to be a hater, even on a game show.
Yeah, it's like... Yeah, if there was any time
She's
to
the
take
biggest
a piss
hater. She hates the way that he walks, the way that he talks. She hates the way that he dresses.
I was like, dude, I even had her be like, as soon as Boone started talking, she's like, who the fuck is that?
I very much enjoy the cursed item I gave her. A small adamantium shark that is bound to her space.
Danny, I know I know these things may not necessarily be canon. Please make this canon.
What, the little shark?
Yes.
We could say that she accidentally got it from the black market and it just stuck to her.
No,
ever since.
we know exactly where she got it. We don't need to
The
justify
thing is, she doesn't know where she got it.
Exactly.
I don't know where. Yeah, she doesn't know where she got it from, but she tries she might to get rid of it. It keeps coming back.
We call him Jeff.
It's like,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, it's like.
I would also like it if she was just convinced that Pacifico gave it to her at one point.
That's even better.
And you gave me this stupid shark and I can't get rid of it. What?
Yeah, it's like.
She blames Pacifico for 9/11.
Oh,
Oh no.
This is for the
Anyway.
second spire!
anyway.
Oh no.
Oh yes. Oh, I'm trying to think. Is there anything else with Orca or Carla Sabatelli that we can talk about?
I can't wait to meet her sisters.
Will we meet?
I can't wait to watch her cripple. I can't wait to watch her crippled and broken, trying to stand.
Okay, I'm gonna share a headcanon with you guys.
Okay.
Because of the code name, MM genuinely thinks she's an orca.
And she's like,
So you think she's a Triton, but like an Orca Triton instead of a Shark Triton, like Pacifico is?
Yes.
Oh, I should have turned her into a fucking Triton. That would have pissed her off even more.
It would make sense. It would make sense. Like,
It would be fury-inducing and glorious.
I just thought the thought was funny. So like,
You know what would
If
be
you-
actually
if-
hilarious?
what would be hilarious?
Somebody has a potion that accidentally transforms one into another species, and
That's called reincarnate.
and they just accidentally toss the potion at Orca, and she just turns into a trident.
Accidentally on purpose, you mean?
Yeah.
Behold! Just fucking Luke one day. So, I may have made something really fucking weird.
okay.
A potion that turns people into a different race.
Yeet. Uses catapults
Okay.
to yeet.
So, I spent about a week as a fucking half-elf. And fuck me, I hate being tall. I bump my head into everything.
Yeets.
How do you people handle living in this world being that tall?
Says the two 5. He says to two 5'3" people.
Luke is he's 3 foot flat, right? He is 3 feet tall.
Pacifico, and he's talking about Pacifico being tall. It's like it's like I manage.
I was like, well, then MM has the horns that just make her even taller.
Because you've got to remember, yeah, compared to Luke,
Is Grayson
all
taller
of you
than
are very
Pacifico?
tall.
Is Grayson taller than Pacifico?
I don't know.
Probably, right?
Yeah, maybe.
I had counted him as like 5'5" something.
Ha! MM's taller.
I can see him being slightly taller than Pacifico. So not enough where if Pacifico needed to reach the top shelf, he would ask Grayson.
I mean, there was someone who was shorter than Luke. Unfortunately, not here anymore.
Yeah.
What's that one chick with big face? I know she's short. as hell.
Rosie.
Yeah, Rosie.
Yeah,
she's
well,
short.
Yeah, well, Rosie's a gnome. Let's see.
Rosie might be shorter than Luke.
Okay.
Or just as tall as Luke.
All right.
Orca gets turned into a what else? She looks suspiciously like Frangelico.
All right. All right. Anywho, so yeah, because now that you bring that up, it's like we can also talk about the student NPCs, but you know we're already on the villains, so let's talk more about the villains. If there's nothing else to talk to about with Orca, then we can technically move on to the second one, which is all right, TP. This is your field now, so yeah, we can talk about Alice.
Ha 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 ha. Why does it feel okay? So like something I've noticed, intentionally or otherwise, we've had like at least one character in each campaign have like a second like person living in like literally like living inside them.
When I came in, it was
And
an
in two of-
animation.
And in two of them, it was you.
But like with the difference between Tuffy and MM in this case is so completely like it could not be any different, except for the fact that like it wasn't intention. Like apart from it not being the intention of the original person, like it couldn't be any more different. Because with Tuffy and Benzier, they're pretty amicable,
Mm-hmm.
and Tuffy's actually trying to help him out because he's trying because it's just the nice thing to do, the right thing to do, and Benzier's trying to help Tuffy in the meanwhile, helping It's also important to understand that I'm not controlling Benzier. Boone is. And granted, it really only in that mindscape, but still. Contrast that with MM and Alice, where it was a much more hostile takeover. MM trying to get a new body for MM is mostly so that MM can just be her own person and not have to deal with someone who to not have to deal with a Disney villain inside of her at all times, which I think that's another thing. I believe something I recall when we were when the previous recap session happened.
Yeah.
My character was MM had just been introduced.
Yeah, I think it was the session literally ended with MM, technically Alice coming in.
Yep. I think, and then we were talking about it's so funny how we were talking about how we were probably gonna see the characters first and then see the villains.
Yeah.
And I brought up, oh man, no, what if you see the villain before the character?
Right.
Hint, hint, wink, wink, hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
Right. Well, and this is the thing also, because this has always been tradition with you that you always make your D&D character based off of a Pokemon, and this is the one campaign you're like, haha, no. Yes, everybody was thinking, oh, what kind of Pokemon is TP gonna bring in? It's no, you bring in Maleficent instead. So it's I loved that alone.
My favorite Pokemon.
Yeah. But then it's but yeah, we had just introduced her, and it was just literally, I think it was she destroys the Thopter and just comes out of the shadows, and then that was it. So then it was oh, next session's gonna be interesting, because it's yeah, we're starting with fucking combat. Yeah, you do not come in peace.
Yeah,
you do not, in fact, come in peace.
No. Nope.
Don't come in peas.
Not that. Okay.
Also, random fun fact. So TP and I, we had this idea that we thought would be fun, and ultimately we decided, yeah, okay, it could be just a fun little headcanon, but not necessarily something that's vital to the campaign, so we don't really need to draw attention to it. But we thought, how funny would it have been that, this crystal that she got that allowed her to summon the Shadow Spawn. How funny would it have been if it was Strahd that gave it to her? She ended up in Barovia. She ended up in Barovia at some point. Maybe helped him take down a previous band of adventurers or something, and then he's as a reward or something, gives her this crystal, and she's oh, thank you, I can planeswalk and leave, bye, and just fucks off. So we were even thinking how funny would that have been if we actually gave an origin to the crystal, but then we were in the long run, we're like, it really accomplishes nothing. So it just kind of became like a funny. It kind of just became a funny little headcanon.
It's not like we need to explore the crystal. All that was important to this was that for that initial combat, he was allowed to have the crystal. Considering that we were trying to make it like a sort of like a boss encounter.
Yeah.
That's why I was also one level higher and did not get to level up until after the swamp. We figured it was just going to be like it would allow MM to provide more of a challenge, especially since she would have a mook. But like, it was not. We didn't think it would be too overbearing for 5 people.
Right.
You know? And sure enough, it wasn't. You guys handled yourselves pretty well.
Except when you put me to sleep.
That's
a
sleep spell for you.
Yeah.
Alice did firebolt Pacifico in the chest. Like, specifically gave him the fear.
Yeah.
The one fear.
Yeah, that...
I cast Nightmares.
I think just Alice existing with MM provides a very interesting dynamic as well, because like especially like, again, going back to Ricky and JJ, they're not antagonist. Like, neither of them were like the villain. Sure, there was that one combat, but it was mostly to calm them down, you know? It wasn't to kill them. It wasn't because they were
I almost killed one of you in one shot. Please put a bit more respect on me.
Okay, you did almost kill one of us in one shot. However, Combo, you have to understand, you weren't like the villain though. You weren't a designated villain. You were someone we were trying to fight then, trying to calm down, but it wasn't like a villain. And it wasn't like a consistent villain after that either, you know? It was just, it's mostly just like, it's Ricky and JJ, you know? It's the boys.
I don't know. If you ask Strahd, I was a villain the entire time.
Well, now.
Well, who cares what Strahd thinks?
Before we get off topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but like, I think having the villain, like, having the ability to pop in at any point, like, at virtually any point.
Yeah, like, literally.
Really a lot.
Yeah, every session, like, where things happen or something, like, yeah, TP is literally making, like, secret rolls, and he's, like, letting me know, okay, I rolled this technically means Alice comes out, so it's like, okay, you know, have at it. So he's not just picking, like, random times to be like, hey, I'll bring her out here and I'll fuck with you or something. No, he's actually making dice rolls to determine whether MM has control or not. So
or whether Alice has control.
Yeah, so that's where it's like, when she fucked with you, Amy, by, you know, casting the illusion spell with the fairies and stuff, and that just happened to be the roll. She's like, well, I rolled as Alice, I want to do this. So I'm like, okay, go nuts.
Yeah, I was like curious, like, why did she do that? Like, outside of wanting to fuck with Amy, because like, up until this point, Amy's been ignoring her.
Yeah, a lot of it is pretty much dependent on dice rolls. Like, so like a lot of times, like if Alice approaches you, like if she does something to you, or even if she just approaches you to try and talk, 9 times out of 10, that all came down to a TP roll.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, we are literally leaving this thing up to chance.
Yeah, I like the idea that it has, like, I made like the feat, the like personal feat for her, I put it in I even put it or like somewhere in the chat. Like I think in was in like it's somewhere, I don't remember where.
Yeah, we'll have to find it.
Oh, it was in crafting ideas. Yeah, no, I put it in there just to see if there's anyone, and it doesn't look like anyone like objected to it. So like that's how I've been like trying to work with it. Like, so it just, but just in general, the fact that she could pop up creates probably a more interesting dynamic because, you know, like when you're talking with Amy, it's always going to be Amy, you know?
Yeah.
It's always going to be Luke. It's always going to be Canvas. It's always going to be Pacifico. Sure, sometimes your characters can grow and even the Pacifico.
The interesting thing about talking to one interesting thing about talking to Pacifico though is that he can be a little bit bipolar.
That's still a part of Pacifico, you know? That's just
You're talking to the same person.
Yes.
Even if he's in a mood today.
Yeah. So like you go to MM and you might be talking to MM. You might also be talking to Alice. One tells only the truth, the other tells lies. Which one is it?
Okay, what color is my shirt?
I can't see you, Jen. I don't know.
I have another way to answer this question because there is one thing that the person who created it didn't fucking think of. The one who explains the rules is always the one telling the truth. Because if the person who was lying was explaining the rules, they would lie and say both of us tell the truth or both of us lie.
Oh, yeah.
The rules of the fucking puzzle defeat the purpose.
Huh.
Of course, there's also just the what color shirt am I wearing? Or you kill one of them and ask, is he dead?
But yeah, no, it's also just very interesting just playing the villain as well, because
yeah, like the day will come, we'll eventually, like, even if we just have like a conversation in like MM's brain space or something, like the day will come eventually where I will have to take control and, you know, actually play as Alice. I mean, it'll happen eventually, but that's most likely how it's gonna happen for the time being.
Yeah, like, but even still, for the most part, I'm playing the villain, which is very different.
I banish you to the brain space.
Like, I know I played a kind of villainous character in the one shot that Boone did, but like, that was a one shot where that was a one shot. 2, we had to have been there for some reason, so you know.
Yeah, you guys were in were in hell, so like, kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even that, like, I don't know, I really like the idea.
Mm-hmm.
Though I'm gonna let you all in on an interesting little fun fact. Before settling up on playing MM in here in Strixhaven, Letter had proposed doing a Warlock one shot. A Warlock.
Oh, that is not simply proposed. That is still going to happen. I just need to get access to this map builder that I want to use.
Okay, and I believe
the one locks will always be a thing because I like problems.
Oh, they're fun. Like, they sound fun. That's what they're called. The one locks. And I thought about bringing MM there. I thought about bringing MM to the one lock. I just didn't have. It was just on short notice, and I didn't have the time, and so I didn't. But then I thought about it, and I was like, what if I just brought her here? It would be a full campaign, and it's honestly something I kind of been needing to do. I've been kind of needing to flesh out this character that I've had for so many years. So I figured out how I was going to do it. From there, I then had to figure out what I wanted her race to be.
Yeah, we had a
Because, like, I like the idea for being a fae, but, like, what kind of fae classes are there that could actually work?
Yeah, we were. We were
God.
tossing ideas on like races, what types of feats or something. Like, what would make the narratively, what would make the most sense.
And then I saw one particular thing, one single particular thing that made me pick Eladrin. However you pronounce it.
Eladrin.
Eladrin. I saw with Face Step, specifically the summer one, immediately after you use your Face Step, each creature of your choice that you can see within 5 feet of you takes fire damage equal to your proficiency bonus. From there, it was just the only thing we had to figure out from there was, okay, but how can we do the other seasons? Because I can simply choose to like switch my character's season based on a long rest. Sometimes some Eladrin will stay at 1, but I figured, no, I want to do something more. So I figured, why not just have her horns change color?
Mm-hmm.
Which I figured was a pretty semi-easy thing to do. All I needed to do was just commission my artists for different colored horns for MM and different poses to help probably flesh out everything.
I will say for the monk one lock, I'll probably wind up needing to bring in an Arakocra named Kenny Blaze.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so I'm trying to think of, is there anything else with Alice that you'd like to talk about?
Something I remember, not as like, probably not as we kind of said, I believe it was B that said it one time, that like you just liked how unrepentantly evil or something like that Alice was.
Yeah.
Like, or something along those lines, and I really like that idea as well. So I just think, you know.
And I think it's wild. I think one of the wild things is Alice trying to turn people in the party against one another.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. After all, you guys working as a group was what defeated her.
Yeah, but
So-
guess what? The friendships are mending together again.
unfortunately for you, Alice, I'm a little bit too good at making friends.
We'll see how things go.
Yeah.
There's a, I don't know, just
Yep, we'll see.
it just
Yeah, it's like ultimately we'll see what happens with Alice in year 2 when she's officially a student at Strixhaven.
I will say it is probably also like another thing is like with the villains with all the other villains. Danny is like, obviously you guys are probably still communicating ideas about your baddies with your personal baddies with Danny, and as you should.
Oh yeah.
Like obviously,
I'll be honest, mine is pretty much done. There is not much to talk about.
Right.
But
Yeah.
and that's fair. Like, but you still talked with Danny about your baddie,
Yeah.
Of course.
of course. But because they're not playable after you're done talking to Danny about your ideas with the baddie, or your connections, at that point it becomes up to Danny, because I have to play as Alice up until, for the most part. It becomes a little more to juggle, you know?
Yeah.
Which I don't say that's a bad thing, by the way. It's definitely a lot more. It definitely makes it a lot more interesting. Because, you know, maybe what I want to do with Alice isn't necessarily the same as what Danny wants to do, but we still have to talk about it. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not out here trying to subvert Danny's plans or goals.
Mhm.
It's just.
Yeah, TP and I are very much constantly in talks about, MM and Alice come session time.
Sometimes not even during session time, like especially if I get a lot of ideas at work,
Right.
because with what I do at work, I have a lot of time to think.
I'll try.
There have been several times where I'll be where an idea will pop into my head, and I'll just be like, "I got a thing."
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I'm the same way.
I am fucking guilty of that as myself.
I think both myself and Danny are very aware of Jen's tendency towards.
Which I am trying to dial back.
Mhm.
Which I really am trying.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, but yeah. But yeah, is there is there anything else with Alice we need to talk about before we move on to our next villain?
I don't think so. I think we talked about her enough. All I know is that not everything is set in stone with Alice even now. So yeah, there's still more things I have to do.
Oh, Cece, do you have opinions?
Cece!
You're right up to the mic, Cece.
Aw. All right.
Does
Cece
CC
is
have any
the-
opinion?
All right.
If Cece was the true big bad, then we'd all be fucked.
Yeah.
Yes.
I guess I do have one thing. I do. I don't know. I know we established that we decided that we would call her Alice. I don't know if I don't know if we'd ever return to her original name, which I may or may not know.
Yeah, I actually have settled on a name.
Huh.
Yeah. I do want to keep that a little bit as a surprise, but I have settled on a true name.
Well, it also depends on whether we.
It's just mostly finding when's the opportune time to reveal that little nugget.
If we even need to.
Right.
But yeah, no. Other than that, no, we're good.
Okay. Alrighty, in that case, alright, so let's talk about Dovin Bond.
Okay, I have. Oh, you first, Dan.
There are 4 people in the party that fucking hate his guts.
Only 4? Only 4?
Okay, technically 5.
Minimum 4.5.
Who's the half?
Well, don't get me wrong, MM is a full person, but if you count MM and Alice as one person. Actually, no, correction! No, it is a full 5, perhaps 6. Depending on how you count MM.
Oh, MM.
Because no, Alice fucking hates him too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's. I guess that's another thing I can talk about real quick. I think there's an idea of like having a lot of the villains connect. I think I like the idea that Alice, out of just a petty hatred over the thing with the thoughts around the horn, just fucking hates Dovin.
Right. Oh yeah. So when Beans said, hey, would it be possible if we bring in Dovin Bond? I was like, I think so. Now, granted, at that time, I was still very much in. I don't know shit about Magic the Gathering. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still don't know shit about Magic the Gathering, but I know a little bit more than I did when we started this. So I was like, okay, I don't see why not. So that was when I was starting to do all my research and shit, and the one thing that I knew was, I knew after the whole debacle that was War with the Spark, he dies. So in Magic the Gathering lore, Dovin Bond is dead. In this campaign, I had decided that this was going to be post-War of the Spark. So then I was like, okay, how do I get around this?
And the answer is retconning one of the dumbest death scenes in Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, seriously, I was reading the wikis and such about it, and I mean, yeah, it was literally, oh my god, this is fucking stupid. It was like,
now you like,
oh my god, it was bad because it's like,
you also understand why I retcon Domri's death as well.
Right. Well, it's like, since it got retconned and stuff, it's like, we could talk about how he died in Magic the Gathering lore because it got retconned for the campaign, so who gives a shit? So, in Magic the Gathering, like, after the War of the Spark, Dovin Bond goes on the run. And it's up to, people to hunt him down, including, I believe, Chandra, is that her name?
Yes, Chandra Nalar and Kaya also.
Okay, yes.
Is involved in hunting him down.
Yeah, so they go to hunt him down, and yeah, by all accounts, it looks as if Chandra kills him. And then you find out, oh no, he faked his death during the Chandra encounter, only for him to then be killed by this no-name fucking rando who just happens to be a sleeper agent for Demir. It's like, what the fuck?
I think it technically was like Lazav disguised as a no-name fuckboy.
But even so, it's like...
even then, it's just so fucking stupid.
It's like, to my understanding, like, Dovin and Chandra have a history, so it makes sense for her to, give her that fucking victory. So to give it to somebody else is bullshit. I mean, it's the fucking Night King problem from the last season of Game of Thrones. So it's just like, it's such fucking bullshit. So it's like, okay, we're not doing that crap. So it's like, we can still have being, he got away from the Chandra encounter, but, that's as far as I'm following with the lore, and we'll pick it up here for Canvas.
I mean, even if you wanted to make the argument, oh, the second death technically happened, or he faked or whatever. Like, he faked the first death but died in the second. We could just say he faked the second death, too. It would not have been the first death he faked.
True, but then you get to the point, it's like, how many times can you fake a death before it's like, alright, enough?
Like it could,
understandable. Like the thing is, there could be a way to make that work. I'm not going to go into it because you might already have plans on that regard. Although I could DM you the what I'm thinking of to give you ideas.
Yeah.
But like,
yes. Yeah, you can save those for DMs.
Yeah, like, because the thing is that like this also gives reasons for Dovin. Like Dovin's a unique personal villain because it's a personal villain that actually is very personal for multiple people in the party.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think damn near, like, I say damn near because there's still a party member missing that hasn't come in yet that doesn't have a connection, so we can't say everybody has got a bone to pick with Dovin Bond. We can't technically say that.
But like, here's the thing though. Alice's bone to pick with Dovin Bond and MMs was built during the campaign. Was built from things that happened in the campaign. Mm-hmm. Most of the other beefs with Dovin were not. I guess Luke's technically was built during the campaign.
To me personally, I just don't like him.
Right.
He is just kind of an asshole.
Whereas Pacifico was like, I thought he was fucking executed. Oh, that's super weird.
Yes, it's like, so everybody's got a bone to pick with him, but by far the biggest one is Canvas, because it's like, because his whole thing is about trying to restore order in Kaladesh, and that includes taking down the renegades. So, yeah, that absolutely made Canvas and her family a fucking target.
Yeah, and he's after Amy because she has rare healing powers that isn't common on the plane.
That ironically is actually very similar to the original version of the beef Dovin has with Chandra. Although I think that actually was originally Baral in that role, but details.
Yeah, again, I don't know. Yeah, I just know, like, the impression that I got with Dovin Bond when I was doing the research was, like, when it was all the stuff in Kaladesh before the War of the Spark, that storyline to me sounded really interesting. And I like the idea of, like, you have this character who's very much, like, I can't say, I hesitate to say morally gray, because he's clearly into some shady shit. But it's like, but at the same time, it's just like, you know, given the circumstances of the plane and shit, it's like I just found him far more interesting in a way that's where it's like, yeah, what he's doing is shit, but it's like, yeah, does it really have some benefits to the plane itself? And then also just the fact that, like, you know, he's not the kind of guy to just be like, you know, oh, I'm just gonna be like, you know, stereotypical mustache twirling villain. It's like, yeah, no, he will try and subterfuge. And it's like, I find that to be really interesting. That's not the Dovin Bond that I read in the War of the Spark book. That's not him at all. He just became your generic fucking villain in that book. So I'm like, yeah, no, I don't want to play with that. I want to play with the villain where it's like, yes, he's involved in shady shit, but he will find legalities and ways to make this work to his advantage, so you can't just be like, throw him in prison. He'll be like, you can't just do that. Like, he will find loopholes and ways to work around to make shit legally okay for him. Like, I just find that to be interesting. So that's the angle I want to play with.
Strictly within the bounds of the law, I've done nothing wrong. You can't do anything.
Right.
Got a fucking Ace Attorney final case villain over here, damn.
Obviously, with Orca and Alice, they were original characters created. Well, technically, Alice. Technically, if you want to extend then Alice was created. Well, before the campaign, but like the idea of being two different people was created for. But regardless, unlike Orca and Alice, who are like original characters, Dovin Bond was a character created for Magic, which I think, which I have to ask, Beans, why did you pick Dovin?
Because Dovin sits as like kind of the antithesis for a lot of what I go for, and if I wanted to make someone tied to Kaladesh in any decent way, I had to have them be someone pretty awful, and Dovin's done some pretty awful things.
Like legit, Canvas. Like when you were just like, I legit thought that your villain was gonna be Tezzeret of all people.
There was a temptation, but the only issue with making it Tezzeret is that might go a bit too evil.
I think Dovin's a perfect character to include because he's supposed to. You're supposed to be dead.
Right. Like I should like I shit you not, like one of like I unfortunately cannot write like George R.R. Martin. But when I'm thinking of like, the kind of character that I want to take Dovin in, I'm thinking Tywin Lannister for Game of Thrones. This is a bad fucking guy. He's very villainous, probably one of the most evil sons of bitches in the entire story. And yet everything he does, he works from behind the scenes. And it's like he's very much a threat. That's the kind of character that I want to play with Dovin Bond.
You're supposed to be dead. Am I not?
I think it's. I really like Dovin. Like, I really like Dovin, in the sense that I fucking hate him.
You just love to hate him.
Yes. The temptation in that last session to do something with Alice against him. It was there.
I know. Well, believe me, like literally on the spot, like as we were doing that, I decided, like I hadn't planned this. I had just decided on the spot, like, okay, at some point he's gonna have to talk to somebody because you guys were keeping your distance and just watching him. So that's where I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna roll it. I'm gonna go by a dice roll, and depending on what it landed on, he's gonna call somebody to the table and have a conversation. And I mean, we had legit talking points for everybody. It's like for MM, it just would have been like, oh, so yeah, you're the one that they hired, and I had to build a special thopter just for you. For Luke, because he was reading in the Star, it could be about the dragon spies. And then for Pacifico, he's just like, yeah, Pacifico wrote the whole article about him. So he's like, all right, I gotta quote unquote clear the air with this guy. So we had legit reasons for him to talk to each of you. It's just when I rolled the die, it happened to land on Pacifico.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Really?
That doesn't mean that conversations with other people can't also happen at another point, though.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just that at that point. Well, look
at that point, it happened. At that point, the dice decided it was Pacifico's turn.
Yeah.
Which narratively makes sense because Pacifico called him out on his name.
Right.
It's like the dice said Pacifico, run those hands.
There was a temptation towards the possibility of wisdom saving throws for Pacifico to avoid throwing hands.
Meanwhile, you had Amy and Canvas outside listening in, like
for a time.
Yeah. tell Amy to visit, like, come on, let's get out of here before he sees us.
Yeah.
I think that's. Can we just acknowledge that, like, that means at least 3 different people had to either had like the temptation to do something about Dovin right then and there, and could have made things worse.
Yeah, because, like, as tempted as it was probably to go confront Dovin, Amy was not going to let Canvas do anything reckless. Plus, she knows if she tried to start something, but she knows that if Dovin saw her and wanted to take her back to Kaladesh, that's going to get Eldraine involved, and that could turn into a war, and she didn't want that.
Yeah.
Not to mention also keeping Canvas from doing something stupid.
Right. You know, but I think, like, but ultimately, I just think, like, you know, I felt like, end of summer would have been the perfect time to bring in, like, to formally bring in Dovin Bond into the story. So I had already decided long ago that it was like, okay, like, the villains I wanted to focus on year 1. I knew I wanted to bring in Orca. Alice just kind of happened because I was already making so many plans before TP had settled on MM. So, I mean, I think, like, the campaign had even started before he finalized it, so...
Yeah.
So...
It took me a bit. I apologize.
Oh, no, that's fine. But it was like, you know, we had that. And then it's like, you know...
It was well worth the wait.
Right. So I had some of these other villains lined up, you know, from you guys. But it's like, okay, I need to bring in somebody else. So I had decided, okay, Dovin Bond. And I thought, okay, wait, I could bring in the Thopter system, you know, early on in the campaign. And then it's like, if you guys didn't question the Thopters or whatever, then by the end of year 1, that would have been your answer. Oh, it came from this guy. But just the fact that, again, you guys focused so much on getting those Thopters out of there, it's like, again, like, another reason I think I really liked that development, because even with Dovin not being there, you guys essentially built him up as the threat. He hadn't even shown up yet. So it's like, you guys did a lot of that work for me.
And it's because we all had reasons to view him as a threat already. Mm-hmm. And we were able to tie that back into the stuff our characters were about.
Yeah. Yeah, but now that he's been formally brought into the story, we'll definitely be seeing a little bit more of him. Like, whether it's, like, him directly or just him being the scheming little shit in the shadows.
Yeah, because there's no doubt about it. Like, if he did have, like, spy shit in his thought, there's no doubt he has seen Canvas and Amy.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, so then I'm trying to think. So it's like not much to talk about as far as like Luke, Amy, and all them. Like, you know, because again, we haven't gotten every villain hasn't shown up yet, so not really gonna talk about them right now.
If they have not shown up,
yeah.
If they have shown up, they have not been identified as like the villain at least.
Exactly.
Soon.
Yeah, soon.
I promise.
Yeah. The day will
soon trademark.
Yeah, the day will come. But ultimately, now I think it's a good time that now we can talk about the big bad guy of this campaign, Murgaxor. And oh my god, did I change so much with Murgaxor compared to the fucking module? You know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So for one thing.
Yeah, we've seen this. He was a frog.
Yeah, so in the module, like, I'll just go on ahead and just explain how they did Murgaxor in the module, and it's not even technically spoiler territory, because damn near everything that you know about him so far in this campaign is everything the book gave us. The one thing I added was, you know, okay, he's a snarl baby. But I'll get more into that. So, in the module, Murgaxor is a frog. He's literally like a sentient evil frog. He goes to Strixhaven specifically as a Witherbloom student. He was doing life and death magic. He killed some students, which got him expelled. And he's been around for like 200 years, you know, just like living off of the life of other creatures. And he just wants it. I think it's like, the book doesn't even really explain, does he want revenge on Strixhaven? Does he want immortality? The book doesn't even really truly explain why Murgaxor is doing the shit he does. Like, it really comes off as when they were making the book, and they're like, fuck, we need a bad guy. First draft bad guy, good enough. Like, they did not really go into details with him at all with what the module gave us. So that's where, like, so I had to take that and then be like, okay, how can I work with this, and let alone hopefully make this a little bit more threatening? Because when we were first planning Strixhaven, I had asked these guys, do you want a more lighthearted adventure, or do you want something more serious? These guys wanted something a little bit more serious. And that's where I was like, how am I going to make a fucking frog, like, how am I going to make this serious? Like, you know, like, I had a hard time trying to figure out how can we make this, like, a serious threat? So that's where I decided, fuck it, I just won't make him a frog anymore. I'll make him something else. And it's like, considering that they said, oh, he's been around for 200 years, and it's like, okay, he'll be a race that can live a long time. Elf. Done. You know, so, again, so what you know right now, all the information I've given you, is the entirety that the module gave us. There's still some more shit that I've got planned and such with them, like stuff that I've built in the background that is yet to get uncovered. Like, probably like the...
Wait, that's everything in the module?
That's everything in the module. I shit you not, like...
Was this only supposed to be the villain for the first part of the module?
He's the villain through all 4 parts. And that's it. So yeah...
That's...
Yeah, like, it really sounds like this was a first draft villain. Like, it's one thing if he was the villain for the first part and then you have different villains in all 4 years, but no, you have one villain in all 4 years, and that's all I had to work with.
See, I've seen a lot of modules that are written this bare bones, and these things are the reason that I don't like running modules. Because I already have to fill in so much stuff anyway, that I may as well just make it myself from the get-go.
Right. No, that makes sense. Well, that's where, so the whole Snarl Baby thing, actually, you can thank Kitty for this one. So,
Heck yeah.
when I had commissioned Kitty to design Murgaxor, I just kind of, like, threw together something in Hero Forge, and it was just sent it to her, and I said, this is kind of what I'm thinking of. This is what the character is like. This is his story, you know, all that stuff. And one of the additions that she added compared to what I had originally crafted was, he's like, you know, hey, can we have like some bones sticking out or something? That'd be pretty creepy. And I'm like, that would be pretty creepy. And then ultimately that just spiraled into me thinking, wait a minute. What if, you know, yeah, he's a Snarl Baby. He's got ridiculous magic power, but it's at the cost, it's literally eating him alive. He is becoming like a walking corpse until he just literally will just collapse and fucking die. So yeah, like that was my own little sprinkle in there, and you got Kitty to thank for that, because that was just purely like concept idea she thought of. And I'm like, I'm gonna run with it.
His introduction was actually really, really cool.
Yeah.
And like,
I'm gonna at some point, I'm gonna figure out a way to make a frog villain that can be taken seriously.
Yeah, because
I already have a way to do it. You'd be surprised how surprisingly easy you can make a frog terrifying.
Okay.
Maybe it's Gamataki's ancient evil
Yeah,
rival.
yeah, that's where it's like, yeah, like, I say this as in another campaign we have a frog.
Well, the thing is, it can't be Gamataki's ancient evil rival, because his ancient evil rival is already Zaricha.
Yeah.
The ancient evil rival is a lizard, not a fucking frog.
Unless there was some rival clan he was never told about.
Oh my god.
Listen,
The rival clan of your mother.
but like, let's also acknowledge another big thing about Gamataki. He kind of gets his ass beaten quite a bit. So like, it kinda
Especially
evens out.
by Zaricha. Zaricha will...
He's making the Yamcha pose over there.
Zaricha will smoke that booty.
Oh my god, no.
It's like, hey, did you do the Yamcha pose today? Not yet. You're just in time.
Ah, no, that's the Peter Griffin pose. You guys do the Yamcha pose.
Parry this, you filthy casual.
I think it's not. I think that being said, it's not like you couldn't make the frog menacing, but like
Yeah, like, I'm sure, like, in the hands of a more talented and an experienced DM, they can make it work. I was struggling, and I'm like, fuck it, I give up. He's not a frog anymore.
I mean, what you can always do is give him the occasional frog-like property here and there, allude to that original idea. But like, here's another thing with Magaxar. As you said, the campaign was initially supposed to be lighthearted, so like a frog villain, that doesn't seem so intimidating.
Right.
So like it fit. So
Yeah, it's like a little minion.
A little minion, only he's been upgraded to the big bad.
Magaxar Grangel. If you wanted to do like a cartoony voice for them.
Right.
Okay, no, my throat didn't like that one.
Right.
Yeah.
Could make him a little bit Saturday morning cartoon villain, but with like a very insidious edge to the actual actions.
Right.
You know, lighthearted, but not.
Right.
You know?
As lighthearted as a Saturday morning cartoon would allow. It's as dark as a Saturday morning cartoon would allow.
Hey, here we go. Here's our main bad guy. He's in general. That's our dude.
That's an African bullfrog. They are
You
tanks.
you could even
Actually, you know what? Fuck
you
it.
could even like
Oh my-
almost make him like a parody of sort of a Saturday morning cartoon villain, you know, where some will like take a concept of a Saturday morning cartoon villain type of character and like have them do like the Joker is kind of that, right? Where it's like a party clown, but taken to this demented degree.
It's like, you know what?
You could do that
It's like, you know what?
with
It's like,
the frog.
on the spot brainstorm, now that you guys are talking about this, and you know what? Fuck it, I'll share it to the public. He was a Witherbloom student, right? What if that's his pest?
Well,
Well, if the frog is his pest.
I mean, who's to say he never got a freaking pest?
That's true.
he is my only friend.
Mostly because I killed the others.
I mean, he did.
Exactly.
Listen, it was a skill issue. They should have just lived.
Yeah,
It's not my fault they're dead. They jumped off a cliff. Sure, I pushed them, but
Gravity technically killed them.
I didn't kill them. They killed themselves. You pushed them off a cliff. They jumped. No, they didn't.
No,
Listen,
it was gravity.
they should have
that did
just they should have just teched the hands.
Yeah, so it's like,
They
I
didn't
never-
tech it. It's their fault.
I never
I
apologize.
don't know what to tell you. They should have just They should have just parried it.
You can't
But I
parry
would've done.
gravity.
Not with that attitude.
No, with that attitude.
No, it's funnier because there's an action RPG coming out at some point. I can't remember its name, where you can literally parry full damage.
I
You
mean,
can also
you
parry
can,
a nuke.
I mean, you can kind of parry fall damage in Black Myth Wukong.
Man, the new Ultra Kill update looking wild. Tell me when
Yeah.
I'm telling lies.
See, it'll happen eventually.
The game is
Ultra
VA
Kill does
proxy.
everything.
Kind of a minor thing. We do acknowledge that, like, because we did have that scene where Mugaxer did appear to save Orca back on the Isles.
yes.
And so, like, you know, I like, so like the scene in the swamp. I'm assuming that's where we're supposed to meet him in the module, right?
Nope.
What?
You don't meet you do not meet Mergoxor, I think, technically the first time he even talks to you, I think, is the end of year 3, and then the first time you confront him is when you're fighting him at the end of year 4. He's one of those villains.
Are you okay? Fucking hell!
That makes it worse to have him be a frog for anything. No, you put that up front and then build him to be more insidious than he looks.
Yeah, no, they don't do that at all in the module. You know, and, yeah,
Piss.
yeah.
I
It's like, again, another.
I guess they hinted him being a frog with the like little guys.
Like, so the thing was, is like, you know, so like, I've read all of book 1. I'm reading book 2, you know, like, thoroughly reading it over and over again to get ready for year 2. But from what I've been reading on, like, years 3 and 4 and such, it's like, no, he's just the villain in the background, and it's like, yeah, you literally get, like, no information on who he is, until the end of year 3, and then Strixhaven's like, oh, we know who this guy is. So it's just
that's
like,
dumb.
exactly. That's why I've been handling.
Now,
That can work, but not with this villain. I don't.
Well, another thing, so I know when I did session 0 with you guys, I initially told you that my plan with Mergoxor was I did want him to be like a secretive villain, and then, you know, yeah, maybe have him like pop up as like a hooded figure or something, but you wouldn't really know who he was until like halfway through the campaign. But this was also back when I was thinking I could pull off all of year 1 in 10 sessions. So if that was the case, by now, we'd already be in the middle of year 2, and I could have gone with that plan. But given the fact that we've been playing Strixhaven now for a year, and it's like we're just wrapping up the first year, and the rest of the years are going to take even longer, that's where I'm looking at this, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Am I seriously going to keep, like, withhold the main villain from you guys for possibly years? So that's where I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that to you guys. So that's where I ultimately decided, you know, yeah, like, I had him, like, being, like, you know, the guy, you know, in the secret robe and stuff, but to actually, like, unveil him, I decided, nope, that's how we're gonna end the whole Sedgemoor shit, is, like, you fix the swamp and stuff, everything is good, and then, surprise, here's your villain. Like, I felt
See, you're doing a very good job of adjusting this module to the way that we're wanting to play.
Yeah, because that's where it's like, because I would think you guys would kill me. Like, if we were playing Strixhaven, like, let's just say, if we were still playing Strixhaven, like, 2 years from now, we're, like, in the middle of year 3 or something, and he still hasn't shown up yet, I would like to think that by now you guys would be like, Danny, who's the villain? Come on, what the fuck?
I feel like if you were at least like dropping some info about the villain like gradually without necessarily showing his face, that would work. But like, yeah, it would not do well to keep him completely in the shadows. Us not know really nothing about him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know this is coming because I know we're probably gonna run into Murgaxor thing again.
I do plan on bringing Murgaxor. I mean, like now that you guys know he's pretty much put himself out in the open, and Strixhaven knows, fuck, he's still alive. It's like, it's inevitable. I gotta keep bringing him in.
Right, but I'm waiting. It's gonna become in like, because I know eventually, and this does seem to kind of happen in this group, is that we start kind of smack talking him a little bit. Like, he just teleports, shit like that, and that's when McGregor be like, I heard you guys were talking shit, and just wipes the floor with us.
Well,
Heard that you were talking shit, and you didn't think that I would hear it. Bop.
Yeah, because that's another thing. Like, I mean, we'll get to that bridge when we get to it, but yeah, because like I know, like not just in Curse of Strahd, but like really like in all of the campaigns we've been in, like especially with Curse of Strahd and a little bit in Ravnica, it's like, yeah, we've gotten to that habit of, yeah, we want to talk, we want to talk shit to the villains, and it's like, I totally get that, but it's like at the same time, it's like, at what point, I'm like, I guess maybe this is where my fear is, like, at what point does it stop being like, okay, now, like, you guys, you're not taking him seriously, he's a joke. And it's like, I want you to take him seriously. He's the big bad guy. Like, he's supposed to be the biggest threat out of everybody, including Dovinbon, including Orca, and everybody else we're bringing in. He's supposed to be the biggest one out of the bunch. I want you to take him seriously, but at the same time, I don't want to be one of those DMs that is going to be like, no, you can't have fun in the D&D campaign, because that's not how I planned it. Like, one of those fuckers you hear all the time on, like, like the channels that they tell the D&D horror stories.
Crit Crab.
Yeah, I don't want to be one of those DMs.
What's interesting is you guys haven't really done a lot of making fun of villains in Ravnica.
Well, I think that comes to the fact that the characters in Ravnica are a little bit more serious than the ones that are in Strixhaven.
Yeah.
In particular, there really is no Luke analog in Ravnica. There's no one who is silly because they can be and still be a semi-serious character.
Well, the only one who is an NPC.
But in Ravnica, everyone is playing a relatively serious character. Sure, we've got our jokes, but like more often than not, we're not making jokes in general.
The jokes are more out of character than in character.
But yeah,
Canvas had to leave.
Yeah, yeah. Like, thank you for coming, Canvas. Okay. All right. Anywho.
Yeah, as you said, Bryn, the jokes are more out of character than they are in character.
Except maybe with Ika a little bit.
Oh my God. We love that. We love her. Okay.
But even then, Ika is, for the most part, taking the villains seriously, unless their name is Abel Kane.
I still question how the hell she got into the Izzet League.
That's for her to know and for you to find out.
That's also probably a subject for a different chill/recap stream.
Yeah.
In the meantime, you mentioned how you want to have, like, I remember, like, so, I forget where, I don't know if it was on stream or just I don't remember if you said this on stream or not, but I think I remember you saying something about like how you wanted to have a different approach to McGaxer than how Jordan did with Strahd.
Yeah.
Where Strahd really did not tolerate the insults.
Right, yeah, that's right, yeah, because, yeah, we were constantly calling him names, like, Ark's calling him Strudel, and it's like, yeah, it pissed him off, but I want to handle Murgaxor because he's like, I've been called everything under the sun. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna add? He's gonna probably he'd probably blow it off, because he's just like, whatever. He's like,
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, I've heard it all, guys.
Yeah,
They
that's the
don't
thing.
care.
I noticed that McGoxar is a little bit more laid back a villain, which honestly is kind of a nice change.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, he vibes, but we still have to take him a little bit seriously.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, and
Like we saw what he did to Canvas during
Yeah.
that one encounter. We saw how quickly he moved up to the one professor. I forget her name.
Professor Lang.
yeah, Verelda.
Like, for my mind's kind of and while not all of us saw it, we also saw that he is the one who took Orca away, someone who we also are taking seriously.
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't this obviously is not a criticism of how Jordan portrayed Strahd. Just in case anyone cares, this is not a criticism. This is not a complaint. These are two different characters.
Yeah. Yeah, because
we're not saying I like pancakes. Oh, so you hate waffles? No, that's a completely different conversation.
Go away, Twitter.
yeah.
But it's just we are noting how, as main bad guys, how different they are,
Mm-hmm.
and so we still have to take him seriously, but there's an appreciation for how the circumstances are different enough to we can still enjoy. We still have to take him seriously, but I appreciate that. It's not the same reason. He's still very powerful, clearly.
Yeah, it's like
But-
it's more of the fact that he's not taking us seriously right now.
Mm-hmm.
To us, we're just little mages compared to him.
Right.
He's like, haha, how cute.
Right. Well, and another thing that, hopefully I was able to get across with, specifically through Orca, I also want him to be the kind of villain where it's like, because lots of times in media where it'll be like when a villain says, oh, work with me and I promise you this, and then he's like, aha, I lied, backstabbing dirtbag or something. It's like, I actually want to play around with the idea of when a villain says he's going to, he promised you something, he will work to keep it. And I want to play with that idea, and I'm hoping that I kind of got to starting to get that across with Orca, because he did say, hey, work with me and I will give you the opportunity to enact your revenge, and he let her go to the Pinzari Isles. It didn't work for her, but he allowed it, and hell, he helped her. He gave her the fucking ring to make her invisible. So he's like, yeah, okay, I'll help you. So
And he also helped her escape the failed attempt.
right. So it's like that.
Like, well, that didn't work. Back to the drawing board.
Yeah. So it's like that's another idea for a villain that I want to play around with, because again, especially in fantasy stories, you see all the time about how the bad guy will promise something in exchange for loyalty or whatever, and then he's like, by the end he's just like, yeah, no, he's just this backstabbing dirtbag, and it's like, I don't know. It's like, I think it could be interesting. What if a villain, when he promises something, actually does put the work in to try and make and, fulfill that promise, regardless of what it is? Because, he's asking people to do all this heinous shit on his behalf. So he's like, I'll help you out.
I like to think that maybe he kind of a thought I just had, but like considering like his bad experience with friends, maybe he wants friends or the justification. Like I don't know, just maybe he wants friends.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
Actually, his bad experience with friends and feeling like he like hurts everything that's around him, that's a very direct parallel with Pacifico.
You know, that's actually another thing I was actually wondering about. Because, like, I know when Jordan did Chris Estrade, like, and honestly, I loved how he did this, was he was finding little things to, like, parallel with with every member of the party, you know, and having that be, like, a dark reflection of the main villain. I really loved that idea. So it's like, I don't know, like, yeah, is there, like, as of right now, I mean, do you guys see some kind of parallel or not? I mean, he doesn't have to, but do you see the potential for that to happen?
I don't see it with him and Amy right offhand.
We've also had like one interaction and one backstory thing.
Because like the only connection is that he ate the dude's soul that found Amy's statue, but there's really not much else to go on that, at least to me.
Okay.
I figure it's at least important to identify. It's still early enough, but like the fact that we were at early enough, we're able to connect Mugaxar to Pacifico is still something.
Right. I mean, because again, I mean, it's like that's something we can end up working with later on in the campaign.
Like, and Letter, you're free to correct me on this one. I could see the parallel between Mugaxar and Luke. They're both smart in a weird way.
They calling Luke weird?
No. But that's the parallel I see between Luke and Mugaxar is they're both smart.
A reminder that Luke doesn't have the highest intelligence in the party.
Yeah.
Hi.
Actually, what is MMs? I need to double check. I'm
Sorry, my earbud fell out. What was that?
I think
I'm trying to see.
I think she's checking what's MM's intelligence stat.
Oh yeah, no. I hope you're beating a 20, Luke.
I'm not. My intelligence is 16. It is my highest stat.
Actually, I don't think Pacifico's beating a 20 either.
Alright. I guess not smart, but maybe clever?
No, Pacifico's intelligence is an 18. That's right, his dex is a 20.
Yeah, it's
I don't have anything above a +3.
But I guess that would be it, is they're both clever, because, like, Luke does some really crazy clever shit. And Mugaxar has proven that he could be a clever little bastard, too.
Now that I'm thinking about it, it's like, I can't, now that I'm thinking about it, this is at least how I'm seeing it. So parallels, like, yeah, Boone, I do like that, what you suggested about, like, his bad experience with friends and such, like, being, like, a parallel with Pacifico. I do like that. I want to play with that now. I really like that. I like that connection. And it's like, I know when you guys were first learning about how, ultimately Mugaxar wants to find a way to, like, overcome his inevitable death. And then I think, during that session, TP, you just had, you were typing in, meanwhile, Alice, tra-la-lol. She's already kind of doing that. No, not in the same way that he wants, but it's when it comes about a character who is just constantly cheated death, we have a character that's kind of already doing it. I'm not quite sure, honestly, about like a direct parallel with Amy at the moment. I mean, a connection, sure, but not a parallel right now. So I hesitate to say. Canvas, given the fact that she's got this whole aether poisoning thing that's happening to her right now, which is very detrimental to her, that's I could see that absolutely as like a parallel, you know, with Mergoxor's state. Like, if anything, maybe out of the entire party, he would probably be the most sympathetic to Canvas, because he's like, yeah, you're dying. I get it. It sucks.
I think it would be Pacifico that he hates.
Right, but then it's like with Luke, a possible parallel that I could maybe see is the fact that the both of them have been touted as being like some kind of like genius in their own way. Because if you remember, you know, the teachers when he was in Strixhaven, you know, yeah, they saw this guy's got great potential. Hell, he's got potential. He could possibly, you know, for all, like, with the right work and stuff, like, he could possibly been, like, a pretty good, like, oracle, even. But he took a completely dark fucking path. So it's like... And then, meanwhile, we know Luke we've been playing with the whole idea that, like, yeah, he's touted as being this mechanical genius. And he's got this whole messiah complex going on that he's like, you know, I've got all these expectations on me. I have to use this and protect the people that I love. So it's like, yeah, Luke is using his genius to help people, whereas, like, Mergoxor, he's focused on himself. Like, that's at least how I can see a possible parallel between the two. I mean, Letter, you correct me if you think I'm completely off base here, or if you see something different.
The difference that I'm seeing in this is Luke was treated as a blessing due to the nature of his birth. And throughout his young life back in his home plane, he was looked at as a symbol of great good.
Okay.
And he sort of internalized that as he has to save everyone, he has to protect people.
Okay.
Because if he doesn't, then all those people who believe that he's this great omen, it means they're all wrong, and that can't be true. That can't be right.
Okay. And then, meanwhile, we still have another party member who hasn't come in yet. So it's like, I have no idea about a parallel with that character, but we'll figure that one out in due time.
Both of them like to cause problems.
Say, what's going on with him?
Expect shenanigans.
Expect a pipe bomb in your mailbox.
Okay, so what's their connection? Ha ha!
I cast Thunder Spell!
You're not wrong.
Okay, that's what they do. Specifically the Bobby Zilch dance.
Yes.
And it's hard to find a connection between him and Amy.
Yeah, but you know, maybe something.
At least
yeah,
at this
like,
point.
Yeah, like maybe something will pop up. Like, you know, again, who knows where the story goes? Because like I said, like the story already has gone in directions I never anticipated. So who knows what's gonna fucking happen?
I know,
What is
right?
he doing? He's been doing the Bobby Zilch for like 30 minutes. Should we, like, stop him? I don't know.
Yeah, McGurk's are interesting villain.
You know, when you fill out the module.
Right. Yeah.
We actually do something with the module.
I know, that's why, yeah, it's again, that's where it's like, I can see where a lot of the criticisms that I'm seeing, like, to people, like, watching online, like, seeing, like, people who ran Strixhaven when it first came out, like, you know, like, Dabby Chappie and, like, XP to level 3 and such, is like, I totally get the criticisms now. I really do. It's like, yeah, they're not kidding when they say, like, yeah, this module is bare bones, and it's like, if, you know, which can work depending on what you're going for, but it's like, yeah, you're gonna be filling in a lot of shit.
And again, this is already how I feel about most modules. So, like...
Yeah, because it's like, this is the only module I've really looked in. So it's like, I don't know, like, I don't know how Curse of Strahd is run. I never looked into it. So I don't know, I don't know how, like, I've heard Curse of Strahd is very, very detailed and very in-depth, which is probably why so many people like it and just run it as is. So so it's like, that's where it's like, I know, and from what I've heard, like, yeah, they took great pains to flesh out Strahd for that campaign, and they did fucking nothing with Murgoxor in this one.
I will say there's a lot more of a framing of a story in Curse of Strahd in the actual book than there is in Strixhaven. Like, they give you a lot more of a frame to work with.
Okay.
Like, for me, I guess it's because of the way that I run things, but there's some things where I see something and I'll be like, I don't need to use that. And come up with my own thing instead.
Yeah.
Which is why for me they feel bare bones, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's like, again, so...
But that's...
Yeah, so, again, like, if I can go back to how specifically the Year 1 module. I've mostly been following it, like, you know, granted we've been, you know, adding, like, you know, some things here and there, you know, specific for your characters, but I believe in the last recap stream I had mentioned that when you guys go into Captain Dapplewing's Manor, that was originally, like, probably halfway through Year 1. I actually moved that up into the fall, because to me it just makes more sense that it's like, yeah, if you're going into the Haunted Mansion, it makes more sense for that to happen at Halloween than at Christmas.
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
Yeah, and yeah, it helps. The module isn't even dealing with seasons, so I mean, I'm using seasons as a fucking time frame to be like, okay, this is where we are throughout the fucking year. But it's like, the orientation, the frogs, Captain Dapplewing's Manor, the tavern, that was in the module where the Mephits come up. There actually was another incident in the module, and I ultimately decided to scrap it because I think by this point, again, I was like, I gotta keep the story moving, and we've had enough incidents as is that we got enough to work with, you know, so... Like, basically in the module, I think...
probably adjust some things and use it in Year 2, though.
It's possible. Like, well, because in the module, it was like... It was like a performance thing. It was basically kind of like... If I recall correctly, it was performance, but I think it was more like improv. It's like, you guys are playing, like, whose line is it anyway, basically. And then in the middle of the performance, like a display of an owlbear actually becomes a real owlbear. And you had to fight it. By that point, I was just like, okay, we've had enough of these incidents, you know, and again, I'm trying to keep the story moving, plus you guys were focusing on the dragon spies, so it's like, it just ultimately got drowned out. So, to your point though, I don't see why we can't have a session where we play Whose Line Is It Anyway, and just do improv bullshit. You know, it's like, I don't see why we can't. If we don't have to have it be where it's like, oh my god, something tragic happens at the end of it, but, you know, I could revisit it.
Although you could also have something happen at the end of it and it be different from what happened originally.
Right. So, who knows?
You can do all kinds of things.
putting a pin note in that, and Danny, I will talk to you later about that.
Okay. But yeah, so it's like, I know that was one of the things that I actually cut. And then, like I said, when you go into Sedgemoor, it was literally Varelda Lang asks you, can you collect me some things? You go there, and you happen to see, oh, this is what's causing all the incidents. Let's fix it. And you're done. And it's like, yeah, and that's where I was like, no. We gotta make this a bigger deal than it is. And that was where I crafted that whole idea with the monsters coming in.
No, I loved your idea for it, and I think it was much better than what you're describing from the book.
Mm-hmm.
Kaiju battle. That is all.
All right.
Even if we didn't have the kaiju battle, it still would have been better.
All right.
From what we've heard, from what we're hearing, because, you know, it would have been something.
All right. And you know what? I think this is now a good segue, because I'm just looking at the time. We are 3 hours in. I think this is a good segue. I could start talking, maybe giving, like, a little bit of clues or some, like, hints or something about what to expect in year 2, without giving you guys context, because I don't want to completely play by hand. But I will tell you this. There might be a couple of, there's going to be maybe a couple, no, I gotta rephrase this. There's going to be one big thing in year 2 that is absolutely staying, because it kind of happens all throughout the year. But so much of it, I am fucking cutting out. And because I'm going to cut it out, I'm going to fucking spoil it for you all. So, here's what happens in year 2 of the module. So in year 2, what ends up happening is, there are these creatures called mage hunters. To my understanding, they're like these giant bugs that specifically go after mages. Now, that's a pretty steep fucking escalation. So you'd probably be thinking, oh, if we got these giant things that are specifically going after mages and you let them loose in a fucking magic school, there's gonna be all kinds of shit going around, like all kinds of bloodshed and chaos and shit. Well, what ends up happening is, for one thing, the mage hunters do not go on a fucking rampage on the student body. They're literally kind of like just sneaking all around the campus. And as they're sneaking around, they're leaving behind like pieces of like their chitin is like falling off of their bodies. And what happens to anything that comes in contact with the chitin? It transforms into monsters. They literally repeated the same plot in year 1. It's like,
do it again, Tony.
We literally have, so you have an adventure set up like 4 years, a different adventure in every year to make up the curriculum, and you repeated the same plot twice. Half of the year is the same plot, but with a different coat of paint.
Maybe they won't notice.
So that's where I'm like, no, you do not get to drop something as cool as giant bugs that will feast on mages and not fucking deliver. You will not do that.
I do like that version of the thing better than the version from year 1. But at the same time, God, lazy writing. The laziest of writing.
It really is goddamn lazy. So that's where I'm like, yeah, nope, not doing it. We already did the Eldritch Bomb shit. We're not doing it a second time. Like, now, again, I like the concept of the mage hunters. Depending on where the story goes, I could bring them in the future, but if I do, I would think maybe not year fucking 2. Like, that should be, like, I would think, like, that would be something maybe, like, in year 3 or 4, like, towards the end or something. It's like, oh, now we're getting desperate. Let's unleash these fucking things.
Year 3, or possibly considering we're doing sort of the 5-year formula, maybe it becomes a year 5 thing.
I'm adding on a 5th year because, just from MM and our next character that's supposed to be coming in, they wanted their 4 years, so it's like, all right, I got to come up with a 5th year. So,
because like
that could be a good thing to put in that 5th year, because that seems like big escalation where it's a much more direct war with
Murgaxor.
bad guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, not
With
to,
Murgax. Or whoever is bringing in the mage hunters. You don't know. It could be one of the other villains that brings in the mage hunters.
Right.
Luke died. No.
Oh no.
Curse you, Mage Hunter.
Because like the way I see it is Murgaxor. Because like it's established that Murgaxor is kind of on a time limit now.
Yes, I am deliberately putting him on a time limit. So I mean, I am setting this up that it's like, unless the story somehow drastically changes, it's like, okay, by the time you get to like year 5, it's like, this is the last year he's got. So it's like, he's gonna be his most desperate to get this shit done. So it's like, I've deliberately put him on that time limit.
Because like the way I see it is that he puts in the mage hunters because like he's running out of time. He needs a new soul, or he needs new souls to fuel his lifespan. And what's a better way than send some mage hunters to hunt some very powerful mages? Like these mage hunters go after the strongest of mages.
Or something, like, you know, like again, you know, I'll revisit that later, because it's like I do like that concept, so I don't want to completely scrap it. But as far as like, but yeah, that's like the big overarching plot in year 2, and I'm completely scrapping it. I do have ideas on what to fill in during that time. You know, I've already got an idea of, you know, how to fill in some of that. But I'm also going to leave it open because, you know, yeah, again, things could end up happening. Like, you know, I might set things up expecting it to go in one direction and you guys end up going in a completely different direction. So it might call for, okay, I got now, maybe this would be a good time to do this instead of this or something. So I will find a way to fill in those blanks.
Yeah.
So.
I think.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Go on ahead.
Oh, no, I thought I had a thought. I didn't.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so at least as far as year 2 goes, so if anybody out there who has played Strixhaven and has played and read the module, you know, it's like, yeah, don't expect that. It's like, yeah, I'm going to be going off the rails now at this point. Like, because it's, like I said, it's bullshit. So, like, now it's going to be way more Danny homebrew at this point. Okay,
Yeah.
alright. So, I will let you guys, I'll let you guys in. I won't give you necessarily the details, but I'll give you a little hint, a little surprise as to what to expect for year 2. So, if you recall, the Oracle had ordered the teachers to basically be like, you know, yeah, we need you to, like, you know, step up your game and start teaching and preparing these kids. So, not only are they going to do that as far as for classes and such, starting in year 2, workshops. I'm going to be setting up workshops. So this is going to be, these can just be, it's just more RP moments, as well as, like, you know, this can also maybe lead to some fun little things. Like, you never know, like, you know, some of you guys coming out of a workshop might end up having an idea for something, like Luke can come up with another creation or some shit, or hell, there might even be some things that, you know, just even go beyond the RPing, like, let me see. I'll spoil one of the workshops that I have in mind. So in autumn, Silverquill will offer a workshop, short form horror. It's spooky season. Tap into your fears and craft a horror short story. So who's to say for that session? It's like, all right, guys, on session, write a short horror story. Like, tap into your inner, like, Harlan Ellison and just write, like, a 10-page horror story. Why the fuck not?
Huh.
Because it's spooky. I don't want spooky.
Yeah, so basically, yeah, so, like, each of the colleges are gonna run a workshop, every season. But like I said, that's just one of the examples. I'm not going to give away all of them, at least because like I've got workshops set for year 2, but I also want to keep this going afterwards. But you know, like I said, that's about as much as I'm willing to share. But that is something to expect going into year 2. There's going to be even more RP possibilities going on in school. So it's like, so you'll have your jobs, you'll have your extracurriculars, you'll have your classes, and now I'm going to throw workshops at you.
Good, because if we're going to expand year 2 in comparison to year 1, we do need plenty of opportunities.
And exactly. And this is how I'm planning on. This is an idea I'm thinking that can absolutely pull this off.
And opportunities to create interactions between characters.
Right. And then, like I said, like the whole just write a short story or something. Like, yeah, that's more so for us. That's just us having fun. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then okay, so then I guess another surprise. So I know I've brought this up to you guys, but I'll bring this up to the audience as well. So one of the roadblocks, at least I felt it was a roadblock by doing the whole let's divide up the party by year. So we have like MM and we have another character that's going to be coming in and they're going to be on year 1 while Canvas, Amy, Pacifico, and Luke are going into their 2nd year. Well, all the student NPCs that the book gave you, they're all going into year 2. That doesn't really leave much for like MM and this new character to really, they don't have classmates or anything to interact with. So, in year 2, I am going to be bringing in some new characters. Not nearly as much as what the book had. Like, the book gave us, 20 fucking characters? Like, they gave us, 3 or 4 per college? I'm not doing that. That's insanity. I got enough on my plate as is. So, pretty much what I am going to do is I'm going to at least bring in, one student to represent a college. And these will be some classmates for MM and Brian's character to interact with, you know. And for you guys, too, technically. Because, I mean, again, we'll be doing plenty of interacting, too. But this is where I'm thinking, okay, it's time for the field trip to the Pinzari Isles. It's other than Brian's character, who is MM going to interact with? So it's I'll throw in some other characters for you. So you can expect expect exactly 6 new characters coming into year 2. So 6 new NPCs. Now, for the stream, I will actually present. I'm going to give you guys little clues. I'm not going to give you the context behind them, but I will give little clues as to about these 6 characters. Whether it's it's basically like an inspiration. So it's a character concept, a headcanon voice, character design influence. You know, maybe there's a scene from something that was ooh, I'd love to have that be a part of a character or something. So it's I'm going to give you guys a little bit of clues. But again, I'm not going to give you much context. I'm not even going to tell you what each of these influences are. I'm going to let you guys guess for that. So, audience, here's my little graph of character inspirations. Make of that what you will. We have, if you guys in the call want to just click over to the stream to see it. So, we have Knights from Nights into Dreams. Because, of course, you can't have a Danny campaign without a Knights reference in there. We've got Pim from Smiling Friends. We've got Yuko from Triple X Holic. We specifically have the live-action version of Sanji from One Piece. We've got, her name is Sophie. She's a character from World of Winx. And then, of course, we've got Yusuke from Persona 5. What's the context? I'm not giving it to you. So, make of that what you will.
Pim, it's the Earth. The Earth is flat. Look, there's the dome.
Yeah, so it's like, yep, just leaving that out there, again. I will let you guys figure that one out. If anything, I would hope one of them is obvious at this point. Like, one of them you should know by now, like, oh, I know who this character is.
Maybe.
Alright. Okay, alrighty, but yeah, so that's at least what I'm thinking of is, like, yep, so we get some new characters that are gonna be coming, but we're not gonna see these people for a while. I still have art coming in, like, I again, commissioning Kitty, so I still have artwork for them that is being worked on, so, but I know Kitty's also been very busy, so that's where it's like, like, I most of these characters have art. I think at this point now there's, like, 2 of them that, like, one of them is being worked on, and then that leaves one more character. So, will we have them all ready by the time they're introduced? Possibly, but, if not, that's okay. We can, let Kitty take her time.
Kitty is also a good artist.
Yes, absolutely. Alright, so we'll take that off. Okay, so I think as far as year 2... Oh.
He's in tight.
Bless you.
Sorry.
So...
I thought I reached the mute button.
Oh, okay. So as far as like year 2, I think that's really all I wanted to share as far as for year 2, because again, I don't want to reveal too much. I want to keep some things in surprise. So at the very least, I do feel some other announcements. So like I said, originally tonight was supposed to be the session, and then we were going to do the recap. So 2 weeks from now, we will be doing the final session for year 1. So that will be February 18th. March 4th, I'm aiming for. We'll see how far I am to pull this off. But one of the things that we've all just kind of been talking about, like, besides just our campaigns, we were talking about, like, just doing one-shots. And really, I think, the one-shot that we've really been bringing to the channel has been the New Year's one-shot, the World Weaver's Web. Like, that is absolutely become tradition for us now. So, that we expect. But it's like, I think it's like we've had that, and I think we've done Neopets. And that's been about it. And I know we were kind of talking about, like, we want to try and, either just do random ideas, or it's an opportunity to try a completely different TTRPG. But one of the things that I proposed, and these guys were all in on it, is specifically one-shots that are built around my version of Strixhaven. So we're calling them Strixie shots. And a Strixie shot, it would be a one-shot, but it would more, like I said, it would follow the world of this campaign that we've been building. Doesn't necessarily have to be strictly with Strixhaven. So it could be involving maybe some other planes or something, but it is following, like, some of, like, the rules and some of the canon that is already being established in the campaign.
It's something that would make sense being canon to Danny's version of Strixhaven.
Exactly. And so we had voted, like, I had tossed up a couple ideas, and these guys voted. So the first Strixie shot that they want to do is basically, it is a one-shot that takes place in Kaladesh. So a couple of years, I haven't decided how many years, but a couple of years prior to the start of the campaign in Kaladesh, these guys are going to be playing as a small group that is part of the Renegades, and they're going to do an Aether heist. So that is going to be, and that's it. That's the one shot. It's just I'm going to have to come up with a heist where these guys are going to have to like bust it somewhere and go steal some aether, and let's just see what the hell happens. So.
And I have conceptualized my character. I may have done a reference to an anime for it, maybe slightly. Ever so a little bit.
Yeah, because like
I'm just a cat.
Yeah, like I know Jen has settled on her character. Boone, you've been working on yours. Candace has been working on hers. TP, Brian, Letter. I have no idea if you guys wanted in on it. You're more than welcome to.
I've talked to you about an idea.
Okay, yeah. So, but yeah. So right now I'm aiming to do that one shot March 4th. So hopefully, yeah, like a month from now we will do that one shot. And then once we're done with that, the following 2 weeks after that will be where we begin year 2 officially. You know, so that's kind of the timeline that I'm looking at here. And then, I should also mention as far as the Strixie shots go, you know, do you have to watch the Strixie shots to understand what is happening in Strixhaven? No! I am deliberately designing it that way. So that way it's like, these are just going to be like fun little adventures for us and hopefully fun for you guys to watch. But ultimately, I don't want anything like plot critical that, you know, that something like really plot critical in Strixhaven to come from the one-shots. Because one of my biggest fucking pet peeves in media right now that I really wanted to fucking die is the fact that it's like, you know, oh, you want to understand what is happening in the latest Marvel movie? Well, you better have watched the 5 fucking shows on Disney Plus, provided you even have it. So it's like, I really hate that. It's like, you know, you gotta do this or you gotta read this book to understand what this character means or something. That's like, I shouldn't have to be doing all this extra homework to understand your basic storyline.
Better read this novel to know Balan Wonderworld's lore.
Oh yeah, Balan
Well,
really.
I feel like I could make a whole video on this, but I feel like there's not anything wrong with having things that are like, with having like extra bits of lore that go on outside, but everything should stand on its own without those extra bits of lore, and the extra stuff from other things should just add to what you already have that stands on its own.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. No, that makes sense to me. You know, because that's where it's like, yeah, because like I said, like, you know, there's that whole thing with Marvel. It's like, God help fucking Ruby. You know, half of the plot shit was in extra material, like, you know, the freaking World of Remnants stuff. It's like, yeah, we could explain how all the kingdoms are run and shit in the story itself, but now we're gonna throw it in side material. It's like, fuck off.
Like, an example is if you were to put like a character's backstory as like a more detailed version of a character's backstory as like side material, but you give like a brief rundown of that backstory in the main material.
Or something like
at the very least.
Yeah, like so like this would probably be like, so with the Aether heist that we're doing, this would probably be something where it'll be like, yeah, is the Aether heist gonna lead to something that is gonna be so fucking critical later on in the campaign? I don't want it to be, but who's to say if like at some point, like, yeah, we go to Kaladesh or something and it's like, or we're going to another plane and then like, yeah, maybe you happen to run into a character from the one shot, or you might, or it's like, oh, you heard, like, you know, like Canvas could be like, you know, oh yeah, this thing happened a couple of years ago, like, yeah, there was a group that, you know, stole some aether or something, like, you know, this shit happens all the time.
But like, for example, let's say like one of the characters gets introduced there, but we meet them later, right? Like, it could be like you can have that history of who they were, but that's not necessarily who they are when you meet them later. Like, they can have evolved over time.
That's true.
And the ways that evolution has happened should be explained within the media you're in. Like, again, there's good ways to do like interconnected universes, but the problem is a lot of these writers get fucking lazy and don't do it the right way.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, they don't do it the right way, or it'll be like, it's like, oh, you want to understand? Yeah, you want to understand, like, you know, all, like, what is this? What are they referencing in like the latest Marvel movie? It's like, oh, that came from a Disney Plus show, and it's like, wait, what? You know, like that, like, yo, plot, yeah, important world building shit going on in Ruby was not explained in the show. It was explained in side material, or, you know,
and that's just it. Like, if it's like information you don't necessarily need to know to understand what's going on in this new thing, great, fine, do that. But like, the new thing should stand on its own. Like, anything you need to know in the new thing should be explained in the new thing in some fashion.
Right. And or it's like, you know, I say this as somebody who's like, you know, for the most part enjoys the Helliverse, but a big fucking criticism that I have with Vipsy Pop is that she, in like streams that she had done in the past, will reveal stuff about the story or stuff about the characters or important world building shit, but then not explain it or like even like do it in the shows proper, and she just expects everybody to know it because it's like, yeah, I talked about it in the stream, but explain it in the fucking show. Because newsflash, not every person that watched Hazbin Hotel kept up with the fucking streams. In fact, I'd actually argue the majority of the people that watched Hazbin Hotel when it was on Amazon on Prime were not people that kept up with it since the pilot. Those were all new audience members. So how the fuck would they know some of these other details?
An example of how I did this in Boon Canon, like, I had stated, like, on Twitter and stuff before, that Boon, the character, was a planeswalker. And that meant that he could travel between worlds, etc., etc. And that he was, like, keeping it hidden from people. And the thing is, I did eventually reveal, like, I hinted at that with one of the episodes. I had the moving background behind him, implying he was walking along that background, and all of them were artworks of Plains cards in Magic the Gathering. But that wasn't really revealing it, that was just hinting at it. But later on, when it actually became important to know that he was a planeswalker, I had a method of revealing it where he's like kind of skirting around saying it to Jacob, and Jacob goes, "I already know that you're a planeswalker." Like, it actually just gets said that he is one.
Okay. But yeah, so ultimately that's kind of what I want to do with the Strixie shots, and, you know, and again, I'm even leaving this open to these guys. So, like, because, yeah, for all we know, like, maybe Jen wants to do a Strixie shot that takes place in Eldraine, or maybe Boone wants to do something specific with Tavastion or something. It's like, okay, you know, I'll let you guys do that. You know, it's like, yeah, like, if you want to, you know, go on ahead. Hell, even just outside of the Strixie shots, there's other one-shot ideas that, you know, people want to do. Like, I know Jen actually has a series of one-shots. We've technically done one. It was not streamed, but we've done one. But there's a series of one-shots that Jen has that she wants to revisit. You know, so it's like, okay, we can find time to do that. It's like, it's just a matter of, yeah, do we want to do that on a Strixhaven night, or do we want to do it on a Ravnica night?
And I've also done a Theros one-shot. I have other ideas for things. And the original way that I did Ravnica, actually, before even doing Trail of Dragons, my first, like, testing of using the setting was, in fact, doing a one-shot in Ravnica. It was the Boom Squad. Letter would probably remember this particular one. Letter was in that one. And the thing is, I could very well experiment with a few other MTG settings or settings that aren't necessarily linked to MTG per se. You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Okay, so I guess so outside of that, is there anything else? Anything else that we can talk about?
Nothing I could think of.
I can reveal one thing.
Sure.
Hopefully this is correct, but it looks like the computer will be here on Friday. It does have the delivery date as Friday currently, so that's super good. And as long as everything works, it's possible that I will not have to stick to Theater of the Mind for the Trail of Dragons session. If not, I'll just do Theater of the Mind. I'm thinking the next little arc that we're doing is going to be 3 to 4 sessions, most likely. It depends on how long people take to do things and how far off the beaten path we go with it. But we shall see.
Knowing us, we will definitely be going off the beaten path.
Yeah.
It is us.
And the name of the next Ravnica session is Blood on the Snow.
Yes, he's finally naming his sessions.
Which is also the name of this arc.
It's like, yes. God of War Ragnarok.
I mean, the intent is that you guys are going to Kaldheim, so... Yeah? Yeah, kinda?
We gotta find Ika a husband.
But yeah, that seems to be the plan.
Gesundheit.
Oh, thank you. Alrighty, but yeah, I mean, if that's everything, then great.
Yep.
Alrighty, so yeah, thank you everybody for coming and just listening to our bullshit, and I hope you guys have been enjoying the campaign. You know, like we're more or less done with the first year, so it's like, yay. And yeah,
Boop.
hopefully we'll keep going strong in when we get into year 2 eventually. But
something that certainly won't change in year 2 is, oh boy, that fucking Hoopa.
Yep.
I don't.
Fucking Hoopa.
Yeah, I don't know if I can do the yelly thing with this mic.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
that's fine.
Good,
Don't worry,
everybody.
Don't worry, I got you, fam.
Yeah. So thank you for coming, everybody. Hopefully we get to Ravnica this coming Saturday. If not, I will let everybody know. And then then as far as Strixhaven goes, we'll see you in 2 weeks on February 18th.
Yay.
Talk to you later. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.